Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to all. Hope you all had a nice Monday night. I'll take a win. I got my under in the Boston College Florida State game, so I was a needed win too, because college football season started off nicely, but then Saturday was rough, and then LSU Sunday, so I needed that win. That game was not what I expected to see, though, and I think I could speak for most of the country. Florida State getting their ass beat on their home field. Anyway, Chris is coming on the screen now. We got a lot to get through here. We're going WNBA first, then MLB with Modi, then NFL with me, Prop Beaver, Lindy, and Lord BLT. Then college football with we got a lot. We're starting off with WNBA. We got 4 games, getting down to the playoff hunt here, right?
Yeah, guys, I think it's about 2.5 weeks left of the regular season before we jump straight into WNBA playoffs. And I think 5 teams have clinched already. 3 spots left. Magic number for Indiana is 2, so they could actually clinch tonight if the Mercury lose and Atlanta lose. I mean, if Atlanta loses and if Washington loses, and I think it is.
Oh, okay. So, and both those teams play tonight.
Yeah, they do play tonight.
So first up, we got Seattle on the road in Connecticut. This is such a short number considering how Connecticut started the season, but I guess this team has just fallen off.
Seattle has fallen off, guys. I think it's
Seattle.
Seattle has fallen off. I think it's 9 straight non-covers, 7 in a row on the road. Like, they've been really, really bad. I actually backed them on Sunday. Same exact matchup. Connecticut had the rest advantage. It was a second leg of a back-to-back for Connecticut with travel involved as well. And, you look at the numbers, Seattle has just been a shell of themselves. That loss to Connecticut, same building, same arena, all that. They had the rest advantage. They haven't really been covering in revenge spots either. 2-5 against the number in that spot, 0-2 against the spread, and straight up in road games when they're seeking revenge. And it's been their defense. They still 4th rated defensively on the full season, but last 5 games they've actually been 9th. And they a terrible rebounding the basketball. Worst rebounding team over the last 5 games. I do think they figure it out eventually. I just can't catch the falling knife with them here. They can't protect the paint. I'm staying off of the game because I can see them, trying to give as much as they absolutely have. And I do think they're better than their performance on Sunday, but I don't want to go back and back the team that just let me down and that's continuously let me down. So I'll stay off of this one. If I had to play it, I probably would lay the points with Connecticut, but I did not play this. It's not in my pocket.
All right, Connecticut or pass. Next up, Mystics on the road in Dallas. Mystics catching 6 points on the road here. Dallas coming off. Oh, you know what? I know what I saw. Dallas actually played the Fever pretty tough the other night, and I know they ended up losing by 10, but the game was close the whole time, right?
It was. And that's why this is a stairway here, because Dallas has looked really, really good. Probably about the 4th best team since the Olympic break. I can't lay with them, though. I can't lay with them. They've covered as a home favorite May 15th against the Sky, first game of the season, and they're 0-4 against the spread as a favorite since then. So it's been their defense. Defensively, they can't stop a nosebleed with a beach towel, allowing the league high 91 points per game over their last 5, 92 on the full season, and they're playing at the fastest pace. So what that tells me is Washington should be able to score. No Shakira Austin in this game. Their offense has looked a little bit better without her, and their defense is falling off a cliff as well. So I don't really want to take the points, even though Washington is, I think, 11-5 against the spread as a road dog this season. So I guess if I had to play it, that's the way I would look. But their defense has really, really been bad as well. We'll go Washington team total over here, Cal. Somebody mentioned this in my stream this morning. The team total is 84.5 for the Mystics. This is a number that Dallas has given up in 5 of their last 7 games since the Olympic break. 5 of the Mystics opponents of the 7 Mystics games, have all also been played against really good defenses. They played the Lynx twice, the Storm twice, et cetera, et cetera. So I do like this number here. Washington should be able to spread the floor. I think that they'll be able to score in the paint as well. And each of the 5 opponents that Dallas has faced as a home favorite have gone up and over their team total. So 84.5 is that team total for Washington. I think that's the safest way to play this one. You don't want to be catching the falling knife trying to take an under with the Wings right now with all of their games going up and over the total.
All right, Washington team total over against a terrible Dallas defense. They can shoot the 3-ball, though.
Yeah.
Next up, Atlanta Phoenix. So this is the team that Caitlin Clark needs to lose to clinch a playoff spot here. Phoenix, very short home favorites, -1.5. Can the Dream pull the upset? And also, the Dream need to win to get into the playoffs. So this is this game has a lot of playoff meaning here.
A lot of playoff meaning, especially with Chicago losing the other day. Chicago has lost. We'll talk about Chicago in a second, but Chicago has lost 6 games in a row and 7 of their 8 since the Olympic break. So they do own the tiebreaker Chicago owns the tiebreaker over Atlanta. So if the playoffs were to start today, Atlanta will be on the outside looking in. But their record is actually tied now because Atlanta took care of business against the Sparks on Sunday. So if I'm playing this one, it's a difficult game because you also got the suspension in there as well. This is one I kind of went back and forth on, Kyle. Clearly, I don't have it in my pocket, but I think the Mercury can bounce back in this spot. I really, really do. I know that they've looked poor in their last few games. They got smoked by the Vegas Aces the other day. Before that, they also lost to the best 2 teams in the WNBA and the Lynx and the Liberty. But I kind of feel like, 5th game of a 5-game homestand and you got Atlanta last game of a 4-game road trip. I kind of feel like this is Atlanta's spot. I'm sorry. I kind of feel like this is a Mercury spot. They do play a lot better at home than they do on the road. They'll miss Natasha Cloud, of course. But I do think they can get the job done here. The play that I ended up making, Kyle, I stayed away and I don't typically play too many player props, is Tina Charles. I love Tina Charles in this matchup. You can actually get Tina Charles points plus rebounds on a couple different sports books. The number is 25.5. She's religiously cleared this line. I think 6 straight games. And in 2 of those 6, she's actually played against this Mercury team and cleared it pretty easily. This is the team that, in the Mercury that really struggles to rebound the basketball. Asia Wilson just had, I think, 17 rebounds the other day. She also had 39 points. And like I said, Tina Charles just absolutely on a mission. So I love Tina Charles in this matchup today. If I had to play the game, I'm not sure. I think it is a coin flip type of game. Like I said, these 2 teams just played and they both came down, I think, to 1 or 2 possession games in Atlanta just last week. So I would stay away from the spread. Just take Tina Charles. She should have her way against Brittany Griner today.
Tina Charles over 24 or 25.5. I think he says it's at now points and rebounds. Right. And we got.
Is she on the Dream, Chris?
She's on the Dream.
Yeah.
I put it in the Mercury colors, but folks, she's on the Dream. My bad.
Yeah, when they go looking for it, they won't find the color anyway.
All right, cool.
Sportsbooks doesn't list the colors anyway. Just look for T. Charles. All right, last WNBA game. Oh, speaking of Chicago, 13-point underdogs here. But the Aces never cover these numbers, though.
That is a fact, and that's the only way I would look in this game. This is another one where I'll probably stay off the spread and take I like the under a little bit more than the actual spread. Just because we still don't know if Kennedy Carter's going to play. There was a video that surfaced earlier of her being in the hospital, so I'm pretty sure she probably won't play. So you can get a much better line closer to game time. This opened like 11 and a half, and since then big money has come in on Vegas, pushing this to 13. But it's a spot where, as you said, Kyle, the Sky, this is their role. Even without Kennedy Carter, perfect 5-0 against the spread as a double-digit road dog this season. And we just saw them cover against the Lynx. Aces also coming off a really, really big win. They won that game by, I think, 20 points the other day in Phoenix. So a little bit of a letdown spot for them. I do think that they win, but Teresa Weatherspoon's not going to let her team get smoked. I don't think so. So if I had to play the spread, I would be looking at Chicago plus the points. And but jumping into the under, if Kennedy Carter is going to play, I don't think that she's going to be effective just because she's had COVID and missed the last 3 games. If she doesn't play, that's even better for the under as well. And I was looking a little bit deeper into it. Since the break, the Sky games are averaging just about 158 points. I mean, this is one of the worst offenses in the WNBA, especially without that 17.5 points that Kennedy Carter provides. They're shooting 41.5% from the field, 30% from the 3-point line. And you look at the Aces offense, it's been really Jekyll and Hyde as well. They've really struggled. They're only averaging 82 points per game since the break. Even though they had 97 against Phoenix on Sunday, they're 5-3 to the under since the break. Their game's only averaging about 163 points. And then I look at the Sky when they're a road team and when they're a road dog. 7 of their 9 opponents, the Sky have actually kept under their team total. So this is the game where it just kind of feels like the total is set a tad bit too high. I don't think the Aces need to score. I think their team total is like 88.5. I don't think they need to get to 90 points. in order for this to go under. And I can also see the Sky offense really, really struggling because the Aces defense does look like it's playing a little bit better, top 5 over the last 5 games. So I like the under 166 here. And if I'm taking the spread, give me the dog. I need the points.
It's Sky plus 13, right?
Yeah, plus 13 right now. Yep.
Yeah.
And Kennedy Carter, I was just checking. She still hasn't officially been ruled out yet. So you may end up getting, 13 and a half, 14 when she's officially ruled out.
So Sky plus the points and the under. All right, clear it out so everyone can see his Twitter name there. Crispy Cappin with 2 N's at the end. He has his own YouTube channel with that exact name, does a daily show. This time of year, it's WNBA, but he also does NFL, NBA, all that. So make sure you show him some support. Chris, thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Kyle. Best of luck tonight, fellas.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's talk some seam. Let's bring Matthew and Toast on the screen. Did it really? It'll come back in a second. We have 3 minutes until... No, it's all right. I mean, take your time. I told 3:30 is MLB. So you got a couple minutes, and we're already on the right screen. I can see your cursor, so if you... I know. Don't do that, though. All right, scroll down. Down. Right. All right, there you go. Now get to the thing. I'll tell you where you're at. Is that the one you need? Go up, 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 up. There you go. Right. Down, 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 down. There. There we go. Down, left, 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 up. That's fun. All right, where you at? All right. It's back. All right, let's go. Perfect timing. It's 3:29. We're good, bro. All right, here we go. We're talking MLB.
Talking some seam.
And you got lead story. Grimace is back, all the way back. Grimace in the playoffs, headline. All right. We got 13 games to get through, I believe. So let's go ahead and get started. Chicago White Sox plus 390 underdogs or whatever yesterday. Take a 2-0 lead and then still almost lose by double digits. Not many teams could do something like that, honestly. It's at a point where we really need to show some respect for the history they're showing us. No one has quite been this bad.
Very true.
It's impressive.
You guys betting anything in this one?
I played the over 8.5 personally. I'm not in love with obviously either one of these offenses, but I think that Baltimore, after that Dodgers series in Colorado, might have turned a corner a little bit offensively. Obviously, I understand that Colorado is going to aid runs being scored, but another 13 runs yesterday, and now they're facing Nick Destremi, who's coming off probably 2 of his better starts of his career against Texas and Boston, but both of those were at home. His last 3 road starts, Philadelphia, Toronto, Milwaukee. He's not making it past 4 innings. He's given up 4+ runs in all of them. Matter of fact, if he gives up 4+ runs, that's probably a good day for him. He's just been really, really bad. And then Cade Povich on the other side, another situation where he's just not a guy that I trust at home or on the road. Over his last 7 starts, 5 of those starts have been at home. Most of them just mediocre. He had a pretty good, decent start against Boston. But again, like I've been preaching for a couple weeks now, that Boston offense is dead, guys. It's not coming back anytime soon. So I just don't really put too much into that performance. Not to mention neither one of these bullpens can be trusted, rested, or taxed. It doesn't really matter to me. So I just thought the 8.5 was a little bit too low. So yeah, I played over 8.5.
Matthew, I saw a couple home run graphics here.
Yeah, we got a double dong here, so I don't know if we want to play a song.
And it makes you feel down. And it makes you feel down. And it makes you feel down.
Yeah, of course. He couldn't wait to play that song, man. He was pumped to play that song. All right. Double dong. Hit it with us. Hit it with us.
Hit it with us. All right. So this game is what I like to call for Nick and the Streety. It's going to be an all-you-can-dong buffet for left-handed bats. I went with Gunnar Henderson and I went with Jackson Holiday. If it's Anthony Santander, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Colton Cowser, even though all he's done is strike out over the past couple of days, he can get a hold of one and send it yard. I'm not going to talk anybody off of any lefty on the Orioles. I'm just riding with these two guys. So he hasn't pitched a ton recently, like 30 innings on the year, but he's just gotten rocked. 2.05 home run per 9, 12.6% barrel rate, 22-degree launch angle. Terrible numbers. And then what he's done against lefties, 364 ISO rate, 3.00 home run per 9, and an 18% barrel rate. Just been getting absolutely annihilated. And Gunnar Henderson went on a little bit of a cold streak over the last 2 weeks, but he hit a home run yesterday, hardest hit ball of the game, 108.2 miles per hour off the bat. He also had 3 hard hits total, including a sacrifice fly that was 103.2 miles per hour off the bat. I also liked this from an odds perspective. BetMGM had it at plus 525. FanDuel had it at plus 330. I generally view FanDuel as sharper than other books with player props. I still will bet outlier odds on FanDuel. It's not me saying just avoid them entirely, but more often than not, I do think that they're a little bit sharper. And then as for Jackson Holiday, he also has been in a little bit of a home run slump, but also had 3 hard hits yesterday, 378-foot double. That was 102.3 miles per hour off the bat. He's also been smoking 4-seam fastballs and sliders, which is what he's going to see 60% of the time today. And also the odds on him are crazy, like plus 850 for him to hit a home run against this pitcher is wild with how he's been hitting the ball recently. So yeah, I mean, again, all you can dong buffet. Let's just hope it's one of these two guys and we're making money.
All you can dong buffet, he says. All right, let's move on on that note, let's move on to the next game. Marlins, man, it's kind of hard to keep making fun of Charles in the Discord for betting this team because he keeps winning money. Here they are, home against my guy. Corby's on the mound. I know everyone's going to be taking the fish here, but is it not the first game of a new series? Isn't that when we fade the fish? Is Corby's been dealing, just saying. Toast, you trust Corby today?
Corby's coming off the game of his life last start, right?
Hell yeah.
Correctly?
Yes. Marlins team total over 3.5 for me, minus 135. First and foremost, yes, Patrick Corbin has pitched very well his last 3 starts. Not going to take that away from him. Philadelphia, Colorado, and New York. Not easy competition either. So he is pitching well. But the last couple times that he's faced this Miami team, he's gotten absolutely rocked between 1 start this year, 1 start last year, 10 total innings, 19 hits, 11 runs, 7 of them being earned. And Miami over the last couple weeks is starting to hit left-handed pitching a little bit better over the last 14 days. Miami about to top 10 offense against left-handed pitching. And overall, they're a top 10 offense the last 14 days as well. As Sauce alluded to with Charles in the Discord, like they're not playing terrible baseball. And the lefties that have pitched extremely well against Miami, guys like Blake Snell, who else was it? Shota Imanaga went 2 innings or 7 innings, 2 runs against them. So guys that you would expect to pitch well against them. I also think that we're getting a little bit of a discount because of how well Patrick Corbin has pitched his last 3 starts. I don't feel like that's indicative of how he's going to continue to pitch the rest of the year. I think that's the best you're going to see Patrick Corbin, and I would assume that Miami can get a couple runs off of him here today. Not to mention the fact that Washington bullpen is suspect as they come. So I don't want to deal with the side. I don't want to know if Max Meyer is going to pitch well or not, because he's been an absolute, garbage can since he's came back up this year over his last 7 starts. So I don't want to deal with that. I don't hate an over either. The only reason I didn't play the over is because at this point, everybody knows that you play overs in Miami. They're hitting at like a 77% rate right now. So I just wanted to figure out a way to get on the other side of that, but still know that there's runs coming. So yeah, I did Miami team total over 3.5.
I'm surprised at how many people. We're polling at 60%, 24% Nationals. Everyone's betting the Nats here.
Well, yeah, I think that they see Miami.
This is Marlins, man.
Coming home from a West Coast road trip where they were in San Francisco and Colorado. I get it. For me personally, this feels like such a Corbin spot where it's like, oh, he's pitching well, yada, yada, yada. And then he gets rocked. And it's like, oh, there's the Corby that we know and love.
Yeah, this is look, I know my boy Pat well, and you'll see me get behind Pat in some home starts, but I don't fuck with Patrick Corbin on the road, and honestly, you shouldn't either. He's on the road.
Friends don't let friends back Corby on the road.
Marlins, bro. I actually might bet this. I didn't even plan on betting baseball today, but I didn't realize everyone's taking the Nats, huh?
And honestly, I mean, I don't put too much stock into this, but like Corbin's career in Miami when he was even in 2021 when he was better, smoked. I mean, it's a completely different Miami team. It has nothing to do with today, but I'm just saying that like there's no time in his career where he's went down to Miami and looked good.
Yeah. What about Matthew?
Yeah, I got another dong in this one. That half of them are in these first 2 games, so I only have 3 for the rest of the slate. Jose Tena, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, to hit a home run. I got him at plus 870. He's now down to plus 800. This is a crazy price on someone who's just been hitting absolute rockets. If you look at his last 7 days, he's got 9 hard hit fly ball plus line drives, which I like to call dong predictors, because the only thing you can do to try to hit a home run is hit the ball hard and put it in the air. He's got that's the 4th most of that category. He also has the 4th most. The technical term is balls launched. I like to call it a piss missile, which means 100 plus miles per hour off the bat in between a 20 and 40 degree launch angle. That's also the 4th most in the last week. And he's also got 5 barrels in that stretch as well. And the dude that he's pitching against, Max Meyer, is terrible. I mean, just awful. Looking at his stats this year, he's given up a home run per 9 at 2.12 against lefties. Allowed 4 home runs in 69. That's very nice at bats. 10% barrel rate to lefties, 53% hard hit rate. And he only throws 3 pitches. He only throws 4-seam fastball, slider, and changeup. Those are pitches that Tena has crushed on the entire season. Granted, for him, the entire season doesn't go back to April. It goes back to like a month ago whenever he was first called up. But the last couple pitches that he has seen in the last couple games, from these pitches, 101.7 miles per hour off the bat, 103.6 miles per hour that traveled 400 feet, 95 mile per hour off the bat fly out, another 405-foot home run that was 103 off the bat. Just been hitting rockets after rockets against this guy. And I don't know, he's like plus 800 for him is crazy. Even now it's lower than what I got it at. I would still take it at that number. So yeah, he was one. I mean, even though he's a longer shot play, he was one of my favorite that I had today.
I don't know if this person in the comments is being sarcastic, but he said, I swore off dongs recently, but Modai is getting me worked up.
I have that. I mean, that's probably Kelsey's. She's going under a different YouTube channel.
Oh, that's a fucking hilarious comment. I swore off dongs, but Modai's getting me worked up. All right.
That's going on my tombstone.
Yeah, grab a screenshot of that.
Yeah, that's literally what I was doing as you speak. I'm getting roasted in the comments. That's okay.
Yeah, it happens here. Next up, we got Twins Rays. Good thing I didn't bet my side, because Toast, you and who was on for baseball yesterday? Oh, it was Kamish. You and Kamish both the Twins, and I was like, no, I'm leaning towards the Rays. I didn't bet it, but I was wrong. Would you go right back to the Twins? You said on multiple occasions that the Rays are a dead baseball team.
I have. I'm going to kind of say F you to the world right now. I'm on the Rays money line today. I know that's really weird for me. I told everybody it's minus 110. It's eaten. I mean, that's the stopping point for me. Not any worse than that. If minus 115, that's it. But here's the situation for me. I felt like I got really lucky yesterday with Minnesota. I only played them in the first 5, so it doesn't look nearly as bad, but it was a home run ball. And besides that, I mean, after the home run ball from Larnach, I think it was. Yeah, it was Larnach. Minnesota didn't do anything. They ended up getting one random one in the 8th inning, but besides that, they didn't do anything. Now, granted, the Rays didn't do much either, but we're getting the Rays at home here against David Festa, who on the road this year, I mean, at the Mets, at Chicago Cubs, and Texas, I mean, he's pitched well, but he's not going deep into games. And that's where my issue lies here deeper into this game, because Minnesota, one second, buddy. Minnesota is really, really taxed in the bullpen situation. I mean, they really went for it yesterday and they needed that win and they got it. But now you're in a situation where Duran 3 of the last 4 days, Griffin Jack 3 of the last 4 days, Jorge Jorge Alcara, who pitched really well for them yesterday, went 32 pitches. Cole Sands, their next middle reliever, back-to-back days as well. So, and we all know, we've illustrated over the last couple of weeks how good that Rays bullpen has been. And they have everybody rested and available. One guy, I think Rodriguez, has worked 3 of the last 4, but besides that, everybody's available. And Jeffrey Springs, now not a guy that I love, but when he's been at home, he has been really, really good. His last 3 starts in the Trop at Miami, against Miami, he was just getting himself back into the flow of things. And then he had 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 run against Baltimore. And then he pitched the gem of all gems against 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run against Arizona. And keep in mind, Arizona was scoring 30 runs a game at that time. So it's just this thing where I think that Jeffrey Springs can pitch well here at home. And then we have a huge bullpen advantage later on in this game. So I played the Rays. I hope they don't make me regret it, but I do really like Tampa Bay today.
Yeah, the people in the comments are great. Now, the viewership, as far as the vote, it's leaning towards the Twins. It's pretty close to even. But the people that are in the comments, Paul T says Rays day. Drew Ski, Rays money line. Mario, Rays. Juice says Rays. So as far as the people that commented, then they like your Rays pick here. Modi?
Yeah, so for this one, I went with David Festa over 6.5 strikeouts. Only worth putting a half unit on this one, and you can also get a better price than what I got. It's currently plus 133 at Caesars. I wouldn't say this is my favorite play of the day, but he's a pretty he's due to get rocked. He has a high home run per 9, but he also has a high K rate as well. 28.7% K rate, which is pretty good. Like anything close to the 30% number is good. And it was 35% in the minors. So he has been a strikeout guy. Granted, obviously it's way different going from the minors, but just showing that he does strike people out. He's only gone over this number in 3 of his 9 starts, but 3 separate times he got to exactly 6. And this is a Rays team that can strike out. They're the 6th highest on the entire season, but the second highest strikeout rate against righties over the last 15 games, and the 4th most over the last 30. And Festa, if he can just get like 6 innings, he's got pretty good strikeout stuff. It's just hard for him to go long into the game. But yeah, that's where I went with this one. Again, it's not my favorite play of the day. I would say it's worth a half unit play, but I do think he could have a good game with strikeouts.
David Festa over 6.5 strikeouts. All right, next. I see Prop Beaver's screen. He's preparing his NFL notes. He's ready. Prop Beaver's ready to go. There's 2 games. Prop Beaver's ready to roll today.
I saw his notes and I almost texted him, "Yo, send me that."
Yeah, yeah. I like what he has to say about the Titans Bears game, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Phillies, Blue Jays, T. Phillips against C. Bassett. Chris Bassett, who has fallen off a cliff this year, can't even be trusted at home in Toronto anymore, right, Toast?
Absolutely not.
Can't be trusted, period.
No.
So explain this price then.
I don't understand it at all. I'm on the Phillies here. I guess you can make a case that Tyler Phillips hasn't been pitching well, and I will give that to you. But at the same time, his first 3 start. I mean, he faced Oakland his first start. He got rocked. He looked good against Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and then he's been rocked his last 3 starts. But one of them was one of them was against the Dodgers. One of them was Seattle. The Seattle start just doesn't make any sense to me. They scored 8 runs in an inning and a third. Like that just blows my mind. But my thing is that I only need him to go a few innings, and then hold on 1 second.
He only needs him to go a few innings. Go ahead, Modi.
Yeah, I had Vlad over 1.5 bases in this one. It's plus 105. As long as it was plus money, I was going to hit it. You can get that at Bet365. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Tyler Phillips stats are admittedly from that bad start against the Mariners, which was crazy. He just allows batters to barrel the ball up at a very high rate. Like he's got a barrel rate of 14%. He's allowed 5 home runs. He's allowed 6 home runs and 5 additional extra base hits. So 11 total to right-handed hitters over the last 2 months. That's in 76 at-bats, which isn't great. And then Vlad is like the king of barreling the ball up. He never quite gets the launch angle high enough to consistently hit home runs. Like he went on a binge right around the All-Star break where he was hitting a ton. Recently, if you look at his game log, like still been hitting the crap out of the ball, but just hitting it without a high enough launch angle. So that's why I didn't like him for a home run. I think he's a great play, like full unit on 2+ bases, and then a half unit if you want to ladder that up to 4. So instead of taking him to hit a home run, you sacrifice a little bit worse odds, but you take 4+ bases. So if he has a good day at the plate, that just doesn't equal a home run, you still get paid out on that. And then a full unit on the bases. But yeah, I love the Vlad play.
All right, Toast, you want to finish your thought?
Yeah, sorry. The little one has learned the volume button, and it's quite annoying. Yeah. So anyway, Bassett at home, his last 3 starts against the Angels, Angels in Oakland. He's been absolutely throttled. 10 innings, over 11 runs. He looked somewhat decent against Baltimore, but the previous to that, the Rays got to him in 5 innings. And this Toronto spot, like coming on the road, they played Boston for 4 games. They played Minnesota for 3 games, and now they had to be on their way back from a road trip. I don't like that spot. And then as far as Philadelphia goes, I mean, they're starting to play like they were playing 2 months ago. 7-3 their last 10. They looked really good against Houston and Atlanta. They looked really good against Kansas City as well. So unless Tyler Phillips just gets absolutely demolished by a Toronto team that, keep in mind, by the way, hasn't done diddly poo the last week. Over the last 5 games, 3, they got a 15 up there, 0-2-3-0. So they're not really scoring runs at a high rate either, like they were like a month ago or so. I mean, even in the Angels series, I mean, they got lucky to score some runs there. So again, I will give you that Toronto might have a starting pitching advantage. It's very, very small, but I think the Phillies have a bullpen advantage and the bats advantage. So at plus money, I couldn't pass up the Phillies with the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. You can put Phillies up for me too. It's kind of hard to argue with that, and yeah, I think the price does look a little suspect. But you know what? There's a lot of people betting the Blue Jays. Our poll is not overwhelming Phillies. It's 57%, 33%. So I mean, there's a lot of people betting the Blue Jays at this price, and the Phillies haven't been playing their best baseball. I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10, but overall, it's not like the Phillies have been. It certainly hasn't been the Phillies we saw for the first few months of the season. That's for sure. So
part of me thinks that. I think that they started to see Atlanta in the rear view and things started changing a little bit. So I think that helped.
And just if you take out the Taijuan Walker starts for the Phillies, they're like 12-3. They're 12-3 in their last 15. Just pretend that Taijuan Walker doesn't exist, and they have like a plus 39 run differential in their last 15 games.
I think you're wrong about which team they saw in the rear view, though. They saw Grimace.
The Nats.
They saw that big. They saw that big ass purple face in the rear view. That's what.
Barney.
Next up. Wait, you talk about Barney? Bastard. Speaking of which, Grimace me. This price doesn't even make sense.
I agree. I'm on the Mets.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you be?
I didn't like the spot yesterday. I thought I had a really good bet. Got 30 cents of CLV and I lost. So, gone. They're not coming back over their last 10 games. 1-1-7, 0-3-6, 3-5-1. They're not scoring runs. And now you have David Peterson on the mound who continues to pitch over and out of his mind. I don't know how he does it. All the expected numbers tell you that he's going to get rocked, but every time he goes out there, he pitches 7. It seems like he pitches 6 or 7 innings in 1 or 2 run baseball. I mean, on the road at San Diego, 7 1/3, 5 hits, 1 run, then follows it up at Arizona, two of the hottest teams in baseball right now, essentially 14 1/3 innings, 12 hits, and 3 runs. The dude's been fantastic. His last 3 starts at home, all good. The Braves got to him a little bit, but at the same time, like I keep on mentioning, this Boston offense is absolutely dead right now. I have no reason to believe that David Peterson doesn't pitch well here today. And then I also will give Mr. Mendoza some credit because he's been doing a very good job managing this Mets bullpen today. Diaz, Budo, Garrett, all those guys rested and available. You don't have to worry about. So I don't see a facet of this game where the Red Sox have the advantage here. So I laid it. I can't remember what I got. I think it was minus 135 or minus 140. But yeah, I'm on the Mets for sure.
Looks like it's a little bit more expensive than that now. Our graphic says minus 142, so it looks like it moved a little bit. Modai, are you on Team Grimace?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually bet this. I would just take the Mets and I'll take the run line. Cutter Crawford's terrible. The Mets, I tried to find a guy for a home run play, like between Alonso and Lindor. I couldn't really settle on one and decided to hold off entirely. But yeah, I mean, 100% would lean towards the Mets. All
right. Next game. Real quick, Toast has to lock his son in the refrigerator.
Jesus.
Rockies, Braves. Good Lord. Rockies against Chris Sale in Atlanta. Plus 280. Whew. Also, Kyle Freeland throws with his left hand. I like this Braves lineup against a lefty a lot more than a righty, or it did 2 weeks ago, I should say. Yeah, Toast, anything for this one?
No. No. I kind of wanted to play
No,
Rockies first 5 team total just because it's like a sleepy spot. But this is the first game out of Coors for them, so that kind of really kills it for me. And Sale's going for a Cy Young, so it's kind of hard to believe that he's not going to pitch well here today. Obviously, the price reflects that, so I wouldn't mind an under. Kyle Freeland hasn't been pitching as bad as you would think, so and he's pitching a lot of those games at home as well. So on the road, I trust him a little bit more. So if I had to play it, it'd be under or pass for me, but there's no chance I bet this game.
Someone in the comments saying, remember A&M, always fade when all three agree, and doesn't mention the other two that all three of us agreed that were right.
Always works that way.
You moron. All right, Modi.
Damn, just getting roasted.
Never forget.
I took Chris Sale over 18.5 outs. It's at -105 odds at Bet365. You'll almost never see an over 18.5 for minus money. So I think the books are kind of telling us something there that he's really, really likely to go over this number. And I mean, Sale's been awesome. Obviously, like he's going to win the Cy Young most likely. 2.58 ERA, 2.71 expected ERA, 2.07 FIP, 2.55 xFIP. All his numbers are fantastic, elite, 2.78 Sierra. And the Rockies on the entire season have the third worst offense according to WRC Plus against lefties. And they're 26th in both the last 15 and 30 games. So it's not like they've been much better recently. And Sale, while he's only gone over this number in 3 of his last 10 starts, he still is averaging about 98 pitches per start. So I was worried at first that they're like putting him on a pitch count. They're not quite doing that yet. Like 98 per start is fine. That should be plenty against this Rockies lineup. So yeah, over 18.5 outs -105 at Bet365.
Yeah, no, nothing for me. Cleveland. Ooh. It's a rare low total in Kansas City. We haven't seen many low totals in this ballpark this year. They've been up at 9.5 for most of the year. Tanner Bybee taking big steps forward. Actually a somewhat reliable pitcher on the road this year. Brady Singer always can trust in this ballpark. Final score of this game's 2-1. Under. Hold on, let me check bullpens.
You're muted, by the way, Toast.
Bullpens are good, Kyle. You don't have to check it.
So under, right? Ballpark, pal? What's the weather?
It should be fine. I didn't see anything crazy pop out. I think it's like 80 degrees.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Minus 30% home runs, but plus 16% singles. It's actually the highest run index on the board today, but that's because everything's negative.
Yeah, it's a plus 2%. That's negligible. It's not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
I'll put an under up for me. I don't know. I didn't handicap the game or anything. I just
Yeah. I don't mind under 8 at all, actually. Matter of fact, over the last 10 times these two teams played, I think it's went over 10 or 8 like 3 times. But I'm on Cleveland. Cleveland -115, Cleveland -1.5 plus 150. This price is just wrong, and I don't understand it, and I'm not going to try to overthink it. I passed on Cleveland yesterday at plus money or -105, whatever you got it on. Probably shouldn't have done that because Kansas City can't hit the ball. They're very similar to Boston. Their offense is absolutely died. When you're going out to sign guys like Yuli Gurriel and Tommy Pham, I know that Tommy Pham isn't a terrible baseball player, but at the same time, this is his 3rd team in this year. There's a reason that he continues to get dropped. I don't understand it. And Kyle alluded to it earlier. I mean, Tanner Bybee, his last 2 starts, terrible. But guess where they? In Cleveland. His last 3 starts on the road against a Detroit team, which I continue to let you guys know that's playing very good baseball right now, that can't just be looked over at a pushover. Went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits and 2 runs. On the road in Minnesota, a division leader or very close to it. 5 innings, 5 2/3, 1 run. And then Milwaukee, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run as well against a very good Milwaukee team. So he also has pretty decent history against Kansas City as well, especially on the road. And then as far as Brady Singer's concerned, Brady Singer's been decent this year. He's starting to give up a lot of hits over his last 7 starts, and he doesn't really have a good history against Cleveland at all. He had 1 good start in 2023 against them at home. But besides that, he's pretty much going 5 or 6 innings and giving up 3 or 4 runs at minimum against this team. So I think that Cleveland has the starting pitching advantage. I think Cleveland has the bats advantage, and I clearly think that Cleveland has a bullpen advantage because they didn't they used Clase yesterday for 10 pitches, but he had the previous 2 days off, so he's good to go for the next 10. So yeah, it's Cleveland. I really like Cleveland a lot here today.
Yeah, and Tanner Bybee splits flipped last year when Tanner Bybee first came up into the big leagues, fade him on the road. Well, he's figured that out. He's pitching well on the road this year. This year, fade him against a bunch of lefties, and that does not describe the Kansas City Royals lineup. Modi?
Yeah, I didn't have anything for this one. I kind of like your underplay, but I didn't have anything for this one.
Next up. What's next on the menu here? Cards Brewers in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yep.
It's just Indian for the great land. Steven Matz. Is that Steven Matz on the Mound Toast?
Yeah. It's your boy.
That's not my boy. He's dead to me.
Former Met.
He was your boy.
He was my boy at one point. At one point, I considered Steven Matz a friend.
Yeah.
Savali's been pitching RA, right?
Yeah, he has been. Especially at home, which it's Milwaukee -1.5 or pass. I wouldn't lay the -140 or 55 or whatever it is now. But Milwaukee is playing. I mean, both of these teams are going in opposite directions. I honestly, the series against the Yankees, I mean, that Sunday game for the Cardinals against the Yankees when they scored 15 runs off of Nestor Cortez after he had been really good. Like I more of that, I think of that as a flash in the pan than anything. And the Cardinals, I just not a team I trust. And Steven Matz has been absolutely terrible. Savali's been good. Brewers are 7-3 their last 10. Yeah, Willie Adames is one of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball right now. It's really hard. I didn't bet this, but it's only Milwaukee or pass for me.
Modi?
Yeah, I have Paul Goldschmidt home run plus 500 odds is what I got it at. Let me make sure that that's still current. Let's see. Sorry, I should have pulled this up before. Yeah, still plus 500. I would take it there. Savali has been better, but if you look at his 9 starts as a member of the Brewers, home run per 9 of 1.49 isn't amazing. Barrel rate 8.3%, nothing to be scared of. 38% hard hit rate, 16.4 degree launch angle. He's not like the guy you want to target who's got like the 4th highest home run per 9 rate on the year, but still not bad. And Goldschmidt has just been on fire. Like he didn't hit a home run yesterday, but 108 miles per hour off the bat. That was a double. Hardest hit ball of the game, 369 feet. Another fly out that left the bat at 99.1 miles per hour. That had too high of a launch angle. So he had one that was too low, one that was too high. Just needs to get it just right today. But if you look at the last week, second most hard line drive plus fly balls. Again, we like to call those dong predictors. He's got 12. He's tied with Shohei Ohtani and Yordan Alvarez with 12 in the last week. Pretty decent company to be in. And the pitch mix is also something that he hits really well. Aaron Savali mostly throws sinkers when he faces righties. Goldschmidt, if you look at the last couple of weeks, crushed sinkers, like 22% barrel rate, 62.5% hard hit rate. So I've just been looking for guys that have been hitting rockets recently, and he's like top of the list in that category. Generally going up against a good home run pitcher that you want to target. So plus 500 is pretty good value.
If you wanted to play Goldschmidt over 1.5 total bases too, that's cashed in 5 straight games. He's really hitting really well right now.
There you go.
Goldschmidt finally coming around, huh?
Yeah.
Been a rough year.
All right. Beaver, skip us over to the next game. Pirates. Oh, shit. It's your boy on the mound. Toast's favorite player. Rookie of the year. Rookie sensation.
Oh, the guy, rookie sensation, a.k.a. third place in NL Rookie of the Year awards.
It's now third place?
Well, I mean, I would put Jackson Churio above him. Yeah, I would, personally, if I was voting. So, yeah.
Toast, if you were voting, you wouldn't even have him in the top 10.
No, he would be third. It doesn't matter if it's Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio, Jackson Holiday. If you're playing every single day and producing for a team that's going to make the playoffs, you are more in line to win the award than a starting pitcher that didn't play for the first 3 months and pitches every 5 days. I'm sorry, just how I feel.
So you're basically saying the Pirates should DFA Skeens.
I think I don't understand why he's still pitching. I don't understand that. I mean, it's very clear. If you pull up Fangraphs and you look at guys that consistently throw 100 miles an hour, those top 10 guys, every single one of them has spent time on the IL this year. Every single one of them. So for me, it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, he will not be on a pitch count. I know I've seen a lot of people talk about that. They made this very clear that he's going to pitch. He's going to pitch his games. He's going to pitch his 5 innings or whatever. It's just you won't see him probably every 5 days. You probably see him every 8 to 10 days is probably what they're going to end up doing. So this isn't me going to tell you that, I think he's going to only pitch 2 or 3 innings and then the Cubs can get to him and yada, yada, yada. That's not what I feel. I am going to be playing the Cubs though. Cubs money line at plus 105 for me. This isn't like a fade of Paul Skeens, but we just saw this Cubs offense face Paul Skeens and then put up 3 runs against him. And I'm well aware that Kyle Hendricks is also pitching for the Cubs and the Pirates just put up 6 runs against him. But, and there's a huge but with this, I also trust Kyle Hendricks much more in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Again, not that I expect him to absolutely blank the Pirates, but at the same time, when you look over to the bullpen situation, I still feel that Chicago has a huge bullpen huge advantage in the bullpen. They didn't use Porter Hodge yesterday. They didn't use Tyson Miller. They didn't use Drew Smiley. So besides Jorge Lopez, who's been good for them, but I don't really care for him, he's good to go. And then you flip it over to the Pittsburgh side of things. Chapman went 2 of the last 3 nights. Santana's went 2 of the last 3 nights. And those are the only 2 guys that really scare me out of that bullpen. I mean, David Bednar has been regulated to a middle reliever now because he can't get anybody out. And the Cubs offense is really hot. They're coming off a game yesterday where they were up 3-0 in the 7th or the 8th inning or whatever, 8th inning. And I think Lopez gave up 4 and they lost that game. So I just have a hard time believing they lose 2 in a row to this Pirates team. I think you're getting a price because of Paul Skeens on the mound. But I'm just really not there with this Pirates team as a whole. So yeah, I'll take the Cubs, who are playing extremely good baseball, 8-2 their last 10 at plus money at home.
To give you an idea of how much of an advantage the Pirates have, the perceived advantage for the Pirates in the late innings. Pirates' first 5 money line is minus 160.
Yeah.
And you can get the full game at minus 120. That's I don't know if I've ever seen such an extreme difference between the first 5 and the full game. A minus 160 if you want to play the Pirates in the first.
That's why I'm like, I get so confused because I've seen probably 15 people on Twitter being like, "Oh, Pirates first 5 money line today is Skeens Day," but they always forget to put a price. It's weird.
All jokes aside,
that's a good word.
All jokes aside, and I'm not somebody that's been betting Skeens, but Pirates first 5 run line at plus money against Hendricks. He sucks on his fucking vape. Dude, put up Pirates for me. Fuck Toast, bro. Pirates up. We're polling on the Cubs. All you viewers that were all over Toast for fading Skeens. Yeah. You've now all converted. You're all anti Skeens now.
Come on.
Bunch of traitors. Give me Pirates. I'll bet it by my goddamn self. Pirates up.
Brave of you.
Modai, Pirates up.
I didn't have anything for this game, and I'm certainly not going to break that tie. So count me out.
All right. Pirates.
No.
Yanks, Rangers. Yankees pick up a W. Those are few and far between for Yankees Nation nowadays. Estad's deep into depression. He's on his 3rd prescription of SSRIs. Carlos Rodon, Andrew Heaney, lefty matchup in Arlington. You trust Rodon anymore, Toast?
I don't. No, I guess it is simple. No, I don't trust Carlos Rodon. I'm on Texas.
Why do you always put an N in his name? I know. He always does. It's Rodon. It's Rodon. There's no N. It's not Rondon.
I don't know.
You've always put that N in there. You just throw an N.
Why do you say Mario and not Mario? Things just happen. I don't know.
That's how you fucking say. All right, go.
No. Ain't nobody call it Mario. Hey, it's me, Mario. It's not how it goes. Anyway, Texas money line for me. I will say yesterday, I'm not even mad that I lost Texas because I felt like Jack Leiter actually pitched well. Obviously he ended up giving up a little bit in the 6th inning, but I mean, he had Judge. I mean, that Judge ball was very close to being foul. I mean, Jack Leiter looked pretty decent yesterday. But this is something that I've been preaching for a little bit now. It's just Yankees versus lefties. I mean, if you wanted to play an under here, I wouldn't mind that. But that whole Washington series, they faced a whole bunch of lefties in that series, and they really didn't look good. They lost 2 of those 3 games. And I understand that Andrew Heaney's not a guy that most people are running to back at the window. But his last 3 starts at home, I mean, Minnesota got to him, but he went 6 innings, 1 run run against Houston. He went 5 innings, no run against Pittsburgh. His last road starter was against the White Sox. Who cares? He looked really good as there. But my point being is that Andrew Heaney isn't pitching terrible. And if you take a look at what the Yankees are doing versus left-handed pitching, it's not like they're absolutely murdering people. I mean, they got 2 off Gore. Patrick Corbin threw a 0 up against him. Mitchell Parker went 2. They got 4 off an Austin Gomber, but only 2 off of Freeland. Skubal 4, and they hit up one of the bad Cleveland guys, Cantillo, a little bit. But point being is that the Yankees offense versus lefties is not nearly as deadly as they are versus right-handed pitching. Rodon is a guy that, I mean, at home he has been pretty well decent, but his last couple starts on the road, I mean, he looked somewhat decent against Boston, but Detroit hit him up, the Nationals hit him up. And I do think that the Rangers are playing a little bit better baseball right now. Besides, like I said yesterday, besides that 5-run inning, I mean, it was a very close ball game. So I played Texas plus 124 or 125, I think it is. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
I got to ask Toast, why the hell is this total at 9? We got a negative run index. Both these pitchers are pitching well. I think under is probably a better play too. Yeah, it's all the way up at 9. What am I missing?
This you're not missing anything. This is the same totals as every single game in the Washington series, and not one of those games was even close to going over.
Hold on, Prop Beaver, give me the under. Don't give it to him. I want the under. Oh, you were giving him. Okay, fine. All right,
thank you, Beaver.
Throw my pick on his side. All right, Modi.
Yeah, I'm taking Juan Soto to hit a home run in this one. I got it at plus 380. I believe that's it's actually 390 now at FanDuel, so you can get a little bit of a better price. I always feel like you can get a value on Soto if he's facing a lefty, because obviously it's a lefty on lefty matchup, but I only really target him if he's facing a lefty that throws a lot of fastballs, which is exactly Andrew Heaney. I mean, he throws a four-seam fastball almost like over 50% of the time. I think almost 60% of the time against lefties. And Soto just crushes four-seam fastballs from lefties. If you look at the entire year, barrel rate of 31%, hard hit rate of about 65%, and a 51% fly ball rate. He admittedly didn't do great against the lefties in the Nats series, so it's like a little bit of a colder streak. But if you look at just the entire month, he's hit 4 home runs off of four-seamers from lefties. And I also think you can get a little bit of value because Heaney hasn't allowed a ton of home runs to lefties either, like only 1 home run in the last 43 at-bats. But really bad barrel rate of 11.6% to lefties in that same stretch. Hard hit rate of 40%, which that's not terrible, but it's definitely not good either. So this is not like a play because Soto hasn't quite been hitting rockets like the same guys that I've been mentioning, but he does hit fastballs off of lefties extremely well, and that's what he's going to see a ton tonight. So I'll take my chances.
Soto, home run. Next up. Dodgers. Oh, it's the battle of L.A. here. Oh, shit, Reed. Brother Reed is back.
Dude,
Brother Reed.
This is
Prop Beaver's favorite pitcher.
This is so hard.
Prop Beaver loves Reed Detmers.
I love Reed Detmers.
So bet it.
I'm trying. I don't know if I have the balls.
The Dodgers are only averaging like 8-9 runs a game, bro.
That's it.
Don't freaking take it. Stop it.
I'm not.
Take your Dodgers team total over.
Can't. It's 5.5. It's plus money. They're begging you to take that shit. They're
begging you to take it. They have it at 5.5, and they're begging you to take it. No, if they had it at 4.5, they'd be begging you to take it.
Do you realize that people see 5.5 at plus money, and they think that's a better price than 5.5 minus 120?
No, they don't. Well,
yes, they do, dude. That's what I'm doing.
Well, it is a better price theoretically.
Okay. Yes, but you know what okay. Anyway, it's a pure pass for me. I absolutely hate the spot for the Dodgers coming off a Baltimore series and an Arizona series, and now they're going to be traveling into LA without a day off. LA had a day off yesterday, coming off 3 of their last 4 games they've won. They've been playing Seattle very well though, so it's really hard to plus Seattle sucks, so it's really hard to put too much into that. But I don't think that Reed Detmers is going to pitch terrible here. Keep in mind that Reed Detmers at the start of this year was like a dark horse Cy Young candidate, and then he just absolutely fell off a cliff and he got sent down to AAA. But he also pitched against this same Dodgers lineup last year at home and went 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits and no runs. So again, I'm not trying to make a case that he's going to pitch like that today, but I am saying that, like, I have a hard time believing that he doesn't, like, keep them in the game a little bit. I mean, because Walker Buehler's been absolutely terrible. It doesn't matter if he's at home, on the road. It doesn't matter if he's playing good teams or bad teams. Baltimore, Seattle, Milwaukee, Colorado, Texas, Pittsburgh, Colorado again. Terrible. It's all been terrible. Not to mention the fact that the Dodgers bullpen can't really be trusted at this point right now. I mean, they all had the day, like all their major arms had the last couple of days off, but all their middle guys like Banda, Vesia, Brazier, Honeywell, Peterson, Grove, all those guys have worked a lot the last couple of days. Again, I'm not going to bet this. I really want to play the Angels first 5 just because I don't think there's this huge an advantage for the Dodgers that people give them for with Walker Buehler on the mound coming off that Arizona series with LA out the day off, but it ended up being a pass for me.
Yesterday, you're like, blindly taking the Dodgers team total over. Don't think about it. Not capping the games. They scored 13 runs or whatever. And now you're like, guys, read Detmers. Like, yeah, no way. Bro, get the fuck out of here. All right, Modai, go ahead.
That's funny. I have Teoscar Hernandez over 1.5 total bases. Another player that I was thinking about taking for a home run, but decided to settle a little bit safer with the bases. It was plus 114 earlier. Right now it's at plus 108 at Bet Rivers. I would still take it there, or plus 105 everywhere else. He almost hit for the cycle yesterday. He had just 2 balls, or one that was absolutely crushed, like a triple that traveled 424 feet, somehow was not a home run. 105.
Because it was in Arizona and the wall's like 50 feet high in center.
Yeah.
That's a home run in like 30 parks.
Yeah, 29. It's one of those 29 of 30. I was not on a home run on him yesterday. I would have been devastated if I was. But he's also like Vladimir Guerrero, unit on the bases, half unit on 4+. So if he does hit a home run, then you just cash everything. He's been really good against lefties this year, 12% barrel rate, 301 ISO rate. Whether it's OPS and WOBA, I saw 2 different stats, like on Fangraphs had one and then Game Day Insights had another. So either way, they're really good is all that matters against lefties. And Detmers, like, I don't really know what to expect from Detmers. He's a lefty, so Teoscar Hernandez could have like a good start against him. And if it's not him, I still think he could do well against the bullpen aside from Joyce. So yeah, I think 2+ bases for plus money on him is a pretty good price.
I don't get what we're doing, why we're not taking Dodgers minus 1.5 here, Toast. I don't really understand. But all right.
You're sharper than me. I don't
You're
know.
letting yourself be swayed by Reed Detmers.
But it's just I bet those Dodgers prices all the time. Like it doesn't make sense to have that team total at plus 100. When I bet that every day, it's like Jake Fraley. At minus 120, the shit's free. But plus 100, pump the brakes a little bit.
All right, let's move on to the next one because actually Grissom just joined and he's going over the Arkansas game. So we got to get through these last 2 pretty quickly. There's 2 more baseball games left, Grissom, and then we'll do it. We'll get through it quick. All right. So, and this one's JT Ginn. So I don't have anything to say about this. Seattle, Oakland.
For me, again, I didn't bet this game. I don't know how anybody in their right mind lays minus 155 or any price with this Mariners team right now. So it would be only Oakland or pass. Yeah, again, you guys already know that I'm not a Luis Castillo fan, especially on the road. Over his last 7 starts, he's looked pretty decent. Well, 5 of them have been at home. The 2 road starts, he gave up 3 runs in Boston, 4 runs in Pittsburgh. Yeah, again, he has decent history against Oakland. I mean, I'm sure he pitches somewhat well here today, but Oakland's one of these teams that like just figures out a way to score runs. I mean, their last 10 games, 5-4-2, 9-9-9, 5-4, 5-3. So whatever they're doing, they're scoring runs. So if you want to play an Oakland team total, if you're trying to gamble, I'm down with that. But it's an ultimate pass for me. There's just no way I can pay that price with Seattle. And with JT Ginn on the mound, it's really hard to get behind Oakland.
Modai?
Yeah, last dong of the day, Lawrence Butler to hit a home run, plus 525 odds at BetMGM. Talk about a guy that's just been assaulting baseballs. His hit rate, or what he's been hitting over the past week, is just crazy. And it's not just that 3 home run game. It's everything. Like 14 hard hit line drive plus fly balls over the last 7 days. Nobody else even has 13. The next closest is 12. He's got 14. He's got 9 balls launched / piss missiles, whichever you prefer. In the last week, the next closest batter has 6. He's got 10 barrels. Next closest batter has 7. Yesterday, I had him to hit a home run, and 101 mile per hour fly out, 365 feet. Another 103 mile per hour exit velocity, double that traveled 384 feet. He's just been hitting absolute rockets. And Luis Castillo, his favorite thing to do in the world is give up home runs to left-handed hitters. His stats against lefties are terrible. He's given up 23 on the year. 16 of those are against left-handed hitters, and he has seen fewer at-bats against lefties. So over double the home runs and fewer at-bats against lefties. He's just been terrible. Over the last 2 months, home runs in every 15 at-bats against lefties, 7 home runs, 14 extra base hits, and 111 at-bats. Over 50% hard hit rate, 2.4 home run per 9, just been terrible. And Butler, like I said, has just been hitting absolute rockets, like the hottest hitter in terms of how hard he's been hitting the baseball over the last week. And it's at plus 525. It's a price because it's at the Coliseum, not super home run friendly, which is why those two yesterday weren't home runs. But I'll take my chances with someone that's been hitting the ball as hard as he has been.
All right. Last baseball game, and then we'll get to some football. Snakes, Giants in San Francisco. We have a TBD for starting pitcher for San Francisco?
I thought it was Harrison.
I thought it was Harrison, but it's for some reason they don't confirm it. So
I'm seeing Harrison too.
Yeah, I've seen it all day, but again, it's not confirmed. So I would assume it's Harrison. That's what that's what they have listed everywhere, but it hasn't been confirmed yet anywhere that I see. So I guess maybe. I don't know about, I guess I'm the only one that's looking at size and totals here, but like this price, I don't understand this price. Like, it's like they're begging you to bet Arizona here at minus 120. I mean, I don't understand it.
Well, if Harrison's pitching, I like the Snakes a lot better against righties than I do lefties. So if Harrison's pitching, I could see that.
I agree. And then you take a look at Harrison's history against Arizona, and he's been absolutely throttled in 10 innings. He's given up 14 hits and 7 runs. He's striking out a couple guys, but it's just been really, really bad. And then you flip it over to the other side. Where do you want to bet Ryan Nelson? At home or on the road?
On the road.
Right. Yeah. How's he pitched against the Giants? Oh, I don't know. 8 1/3 or 9 innings, 5 hits or 7 hits, 2 runs. On the road in San Francisco. At home, it's even better. Over the last, he's been facing him 5 times, and since 2023, he's given up 4 runs once. Everything else is 6 innings, 2 runs, or pretty much. Snakes, this price look free. It doesn't make any sense. I kind of want to play San Francisco just because of the line, and it doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, I also hate the spot for Arizona. I understand that you would assume, they're going to want to catch a win after, they're going to be motivated to win and whatnot, but they also just played series against Boston, New York, and the Dodgers, and now they got to fly. Again, it's only a 2-hour flight or whatever to San Francisco, but now you got to fly into that awful city, and then you have to play a Giants team that's been rested and ready to go. So I really don't like the spot for Arizona at all, and I think that the price reflects that. Can I actually get to the Giants money line? No, but there's no way I play Arizona at this sketchy price personally.
I kind of like what you said. I might be down to bet the Giants with you later, like in the Discord. Let's throw it down.
Yeah.
I'll be down.
Yeah.
Moda?
I didn't have anything for this one. I passed.
All right, so we are doing those 3 NFL games. They're on up next, but we're doing the Arkansas game first because Grissom's has another show in 10 minutes. So we're going to do the Arkansas game first, and then we're going to do those 3 NFL games. So Modai, make sure you guys give Modai a follow. You guys already know who he is, though. He's on here all the time. You're probably sick of his ass, actually.
He also wasn't very compelling today.
And he wasn't compelling today.
Not really.
Make sure you check out his YouTube channel and all that. It's tagged in my Twitter and all that. So, all right. Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
Later, man. Later, Toast.
Have a good day, guys.
Arkansas. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we'll bring up the 4 screen for Arkansas because I don't think Scoop's ready to come on. It'll probably just be 3 of us, but just leave the 4 screen up. All right. So first up, we're doing the Arkansas game, and then we're going back and doing those NFL games. So let's get I'm not even on the screen. Put the 3-person camera on so I can at least talk in the time being. Put the 3-person camera on for now so I can at least talk. There we go. All right. Oh, Scoop is on. All right, so we're doing the Arkansas game first. But just for a minute, because Grissom has another show in 9 minutes, and he's an Arkansas fan. So we gotta. No, it's all right. I didn't even look at the Arkansas game yet. I'm waiting to hear your guys' takes on it. I know Andy's a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and he hates Sam Pittman. So I'm sure we're going to get a real unbiased take there. All right.
Well, that's what you're going to get out of me, too. I'm an unbiased Arkansas fan. You can't have biases against terrible teams, and that's what we've been for quite some time now.
You can switch over to the 4-person camera now, just so they can. Yep. We just set this 4-person camera template up earlier today. So give Prop Beaver a second. There's like a few things. There we go. All right. So Arkansas. A lot of people are saying this is a sketchy line, and I know Scoop is on the Hogs too.
Yeah. And this is, again, it's not a biased pick, but I like Arkansas too. I wish I would have bet it preseason, though, because I think you could have gotten 10.5.
So, yeah.
It's been 9 at circa, down to 7.5.
Oh, so it looks like.
Yeah, I'm always on the Hog. So, I think it's going to be a fun one. I think Andy's completely wrong. I know he's actually let him start. He's the one on Oklahoma State.
He's the
terrible pick.
Yeah, let's get Andy on first. Hold on. He's got to switch the names too. It's all right. Well, just 1 second. We had the 4-person setup for the NFL, so we got to switch it over. It just takes a minute.
Do you do it live?
Yeah, okay. There's people watching and commenting right now that are probably like, "What's?"
Cool. Well, I was gonna get up and grab a water.
Oh yeah, I mean, go ahead if you want, but yeah, we are live right now, and
sweet.
There we go. Oh, you got to switch Andy and Grissom, and then we're ready. Oh, we forgot to have one with Grissom's name on it, but whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was asking you before. I was like,
oh, whatever, right? Just type Grissom in a text for him. It's only for one game. Next time, we'll have him on for an extended time when it's not for press for time. So, all right, Andy, you said you don't get the line. You said Arkansas sucks. You talked a lot of shit.
Yeah, I will talk a lot of shit. I think that this is a very sketchy line to me. This game's at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, talent-wise, I think they're 2 touchdowns better than this Arkansas team. They are coming off beating the number 1 FCS team in the country by 30+, obviously at home. Alan Bowman played his best game as an Oklahoma State Cowboy, and that's saying something because he had a couple of really good games last year, but he's coming off a great game. And what did Arkansas do? Arkansas beat Arkansas Pine Bluff, a bottom 10 FCS program. They beat them 70-0. Cool. That's impressive. But again, it was a home game against Arkansas Pine Bluff. What did you really do? Oklahoma State's coming off a game where the line for their game was 10.5. And there were a lot of people taking South Dakota State. And I understand South Dakota State's a very heavily looked at program. They beat them up, and they were never really in that game after the first, 10 minutes. So it was ugly. Ollie Gordon looked amazing. Alan Bowman looked amazing. They're humming coming in. I don't think they're going to look past Arkansas at all. Mike Gundy teams do not look past teams very often, especially a team in the SEC, albeit a bottom-tier SEC team. I think that you have the coaching advantage. You have the talent advantage. I think they're coming in hot. I couldn't believe this line, and there were people. This line was crazy yesterday because it got down to 6.5 at one point or something. It was moving a lot, so I think just a lot of people are buying in on Arkansas.
Sharp
and
actually
I am not
coming in on the Hogs, and let's hear from a Hogs fan himself. All right, so obviously, I think the general consensus on just your normal average college football fan would probably be shocked a little bit by the line. I mean, Oklahoma State with Ollie Gordon, a lot of people are expecting them to be very good. Not so many people expecting Arkansas to be good. In fact, I think Sam Pittman was the odds-on favorite to be the first coach fired. So,
Billy took that crown. But yeah, he was second.
Yeah.
Second shortest. But yeah, no, everything he said, that's factual. It was not, however, a home game for Arkansas. It was a neutral site down in Little Rock. It's about 2.5 hours south of Fayetteville. So it's in the middle of Pine Bluff and Fayetteville. Shitty stadium, though, if I can say that on here. The turf it's like a grade of concrete, and then you've got some green carpet on top of it. It takes a toll on you. Everybody's a little slower. However, we did hold UAPB to 0.3 yards per rush and 5.3 yards per pass. The defense looked really good. I'm really excited to see them against a Big 12 opponent, a mid-tier Big 12 opponent, if I must say so. But Bobby Petrino has been kind of the X factor for Arkansas. He has Taylor Green, who came over from Boise State, reworked his whole mechanics of how he throws the ball. He throws with a 6'6" frame now, not 6'2" sidearms, which was the bulk of why he turned the ball over a lot for Boise State. Ollie Gordon, yeah, he is amazing. He's probably going to rush for 2,000 yards this season, but he only averaged 3.9 yards per carry against, exactly what you said. They were 15-0 last year. UAPB was 2-9, so take this all with a grain of salt. But Alan Bowman, you said he played his best game he's played for Oklahoma State. He averaged 7.9 yards per catch, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was against an FCS team. Or South Dakota State. But I think one of the biggest problems was South Dakota State got behind in this game and had to abandon the run. They were gashing Oklahoma State up front. I think the runners for South Dakota State had 124 rushing yards, 4.4 yards per carry, but Amar Johnson had 73 on 9 carries. It's 8.1 yards per carry. I think the transfer from Utah that Arkansas got, Jaquinda Jackson, I think he's going to have a field day. He rushed for, 101 yards on 8 carries. That's average of 12.5, 2 touchdowns, and even blew a kiss to the UAPB cheerleaders as he walked into the end zone.
I saw that.
So I think it definitely is an upgrade in competition for Arkansas. But for what we've seen, we were the most efficient team in college football. We were 9 for 9 on 3rd down. Every time we touched the ball, we ended in the end zone. And I think at this point, that's all you can ask for a team coming off a pretty bad year last year. But we were also 1-5 in games decided by a touchdown or less. And I think Bobby Petrino is going to be able to flip that script this year.
I mean, no question that there's some sharp action coming in on Arkansas. The number's been bought down. Do you, true or false, Arkansas is a live underdog here as far as winning outright?
I think so. I think a lot of Razorback fans in general have this theory that this game is going to make or break our season. And by make or break, I mean if we can get to a bowl game at 6-6, coming in with a head coach that was on a hot seat, that's a pretty good year for Arkansas. And you look at our schedule, I played them over 4.5 wins. I think that's doable. I think 5-7 though maybe the ceiling or the floor, and then like 7-5 maybe the ceiling. So this is definitely a big win if we could get it going into the SEC play. But I mean, we just saw Texas A&M. They didn't look particularly good. LSU didn't look good. So I do think there are other games that we're going to be able to win that we may be a dog in. But I think, plus 7.5 is pretty fair for the line. I think our power ratings have it right around 8. So it's a right line. I do think, though, that Arkansas, they're a live dog in this one. No doubt about it.
I like it. Scoop, you agree with them, right?
Yeah, live dog for sure. I think Andy is completely wrong here. I don't know what he's smoking, but South Dakota State's one of the better FCS schools. So this is like the North Dakota State game, but unlike Colorado, OK State can actually cover a 10-point spread against an FCS team, unlike Colorado. Yeah, I had Oklahoma State as one of my picks on the site last week. I just really like the team this year. I think Alan Bowman played an okay game. The O-line protecting Bowman looked solid. He had a lot of time to throw all game. The issue is this team better do a better job running the ball, especially Ollie Gordon. He's a beast running back. There's no way he should be averaging less than 4 yards per carry against South Dakota State. I'm sorry. Arkansas is going to eat him alive if he runs like that. And that O-line didn't look good running the ball at all. And plus, I was concerned about their defense as a whole. With Arkansas, I mean, you can't really put a lot of stock into a beatdown of Arkansas Pine Bluff. I know they're pretty much garbage, but I believe in Sam Pittman, man. Pittman has them overachieving every single year. Last year, they lost to Mississippi State by 4. Bama by 3, Ole Miss by 7, LSU by 3. They're in every single one of these games. Taylor Green looked fine as his first start replacing Jefferson. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing. I think it was a nice tune-up game for them. Plus their defense, I mean, they had Pine Bluff stuffed to 7 rushing yards. They were 1-10 on third downs. I know it's a FCS team, but yeah, I think Andy underestimates the SEC personally. I think he's a hater. I think he's all about Georgia, so I think he just respects every other SEC team in the conference. Yeah, so I like the points in Arkansas here. So you're muted.
Somebody commented that. Do I really underestimate the SEC? I picked A&M last week. I don't know if I really underestimate the SEC.
Honestly, I think you have a thing against Sam Pittman. You always take any opportunity you can to hate on him.
It's not against him. I just know he's a bad coach. That's all I'm saying. Like, I know he's a shit coach. And he's going to be looking for a new job in November. And that's just all. I've been telling you that. I've been like harping back and forth on that because it's just so obvious. So like,
he covers numbers like
covers.
A motherfucker. Okay, he was like 9-3 last year in covering.
Going into Gundyville. So
I kind of look. I purposely didn't look at this game this morning because I was like, I want to hear what these guys have to say. They're gonna have a much better look into this. We got Arkansas fan, SEC fan, and Scoop. They're gonna have a much better look at into this one than I am. But I kind of was leaning just a first glance without looking. I think a super high scoring game. Like, I think it goes over 62.5, but you don't have to put that up for me because I didn't place a bet or anything. I was looking forward to hear what these guys had to say. But yeah,
I will say one more thing before I run. I don't want to wear the red tinted glasses all the time because I will say this is one of those games. Arkansas, and I said it again with Boston College, Florida State last night. I said either Florida State's going to come out and beat them by 40 or Boston College is going to win outright. I don't think there's anything in between. The same thing for Arkansas. We're either going to lose by 3 touchdowns or we're going to win outright. I don't see us losing in a close game.
I like it.
Somebody commented, SEC is elite, Andy. Yeah, I know. I've been watching the SEC for a very long time.
Georgia.
I'm well aware.
All right, so let's
guys.
Grissom, thanks, man.
Hey, absolutely.
Pig Suey.
We'll get him back on soon, and that's his Twitter there. Make sure you guys give him a follow. But if you watch this fall, you'll see him. He'll be back on either later this week, next week. We'll have him back on. Later, man. Let's talk some NFL. So what do we got up? What was the Dolphins was the first one up?
Let's go kid ball. Talk a little kid ball.
There we go. All right, so now we got Lindy and Lord BLT coming on. Let me make sure I sent them the link. I told them around 4:30, so we're actually pretty much right on time.
What is it, like Hog Tui? It's Pig Suey?
Pig Suey.
Is that a thing?
Woo Pig Suey.
Hog Tui.
Oh, shit, I never sent Brad Thomas the... Oh, man. Sorry, Brad. Sending it now. I thought I sent him the link. All right, we got 3 NFL games to do. There you go. And, yep, and I sent the link to Lindy already.
Go Jags.
All right, Scoop. We'll bring you back on in 3 games to talk some more college football. So I don't see Lindy in here yet. I just sent Brad BLT is going to be on any second. And Prop Beaver is going to put himself on the screen too. There's Brad. Yeah, I thought I sent you the link. I didn't even realize until just now I didn't. And there's Lindy wearing a Vikings jersey, bro. Old school. So that was an original 84 Moss. All right. Let's see. We got Lindy coming on the screen. Any second. I saw you paste the link in. Did it not pop up? Yeah, there he is. There's Lindy.
Hello.
All right, let's get Brad on the screen, and then Prop Beaver will put himself in last. So, first up, Jags, Dolphins, and I did place a bet in this game. To be honest, this one for me is a case of I don't care that sharp action seems to be coming in on the dog. This is Miami all the way for me here. I'm very big on this Dolphins team this year. I think they're loaded. The reason I don't have any sort of future bets placed on the Dolphins right now is their schedule sucks. I mean, especially the second half of the year. A ton of tough road games. I mean, late in the year, they go into a cold weather for a few of them, which is like the kryptonite for the Miami Dolphins. So I personally didn't place any Dolphins season-long bets for the simple reason of I hate their schedule. But as far as on paper, what team I think is equipped to win now, I love the way this Dolphins team looks. I mean, the way they play even hides their weaknesses. Like, they might not have the strongest pass protection as far as offensive line goes, but Tua gets the ball out faster than any other quarterback in the NFL. They do a good job of hiding that. You get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter if your offensive linemen are getting beat in pass protection if you get the ball out that fast. But I mentioned that this Dolphins schedule, I think, is really, really, really strong, and it's unfortunate because this is such a huge year. I think they're good enough to still go on a run and still make some things happen. But as far as placing a full season bet, I didn't do it. In this one dropped down to 3. I hit it. I'm holding a Dolphins -3 ticket. I don't really even understand what the Jags are doing here. And now Scoop is a Jags fan, and we talked during the offseason. He even was a little uncertain. I mean, why they fired the DC? I didn't think the defense was that bad. I mean, certainly they were weak against the pass, right? They were strong against the run. This Jags defense, they fired the DC. They bring in Nielsen from the Falcons, who was the same thing, weak against the pass and strong against the run. I don't even know what kind of major shift that is. And then on the road in Miami, this Dolphins defense played great at home last year. I'm not even worried about there are a couple losses from this Dolphins roster. They lose Robert Hunt, the guard, right? But that guy, Robert Jones, came in and was putting up great blocking metrics for him. So I'm not even worried about that. They lose Van Ginkel, which is huge. He was great last year. But you know what? I mean, Phillips is back. So they got Phillips back, and yes, he's recovering from an injury, but they also drafted Chop Robinson, who's a speedy guy on the edge. It's full speed ahead for this Dolphins team. And if you're going to give me the Dolphins at less than 6 at home, I might be taking that against 31 NFL teams, honestly. Especially at home in Miami, it's going to be hard to get me off a Dolphins bet. So I'm on the Dolphins. I'm holding a -3 ticket. Which of you kind folks would like to go?
No, I like Dolphins -3. I think it's kind of
not everybody at once. Good Lord. No, I'm ready to rock. I'll talk a little bit for a second. I'm kind of looking at this over. I haven't placed this yet, but I've been staring at this, I feel like, since open, because 49, we're looking at a pretty hefty offensive shootout. And I do think some of the changes have been really, really positive for Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville's offensive outlook. You get Brian Thomas in there instead of Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, I mean, I think he ends up being more of a slot guy in a lot of ways. Like, I think you get some of these X-wide receivers. You get a Brian Thomas Jr. I think he ends up having a big season out on the outside. I don't know where this exact matchup ends up being. If you pull Fuller as the primary shadow there for Brian Thomas, you're going to have some issues. Jalen Ramsey probably going to end up on Gabe Davis in some capacity, Kirk out of the slot. But, like, I am looking at offensively here. Didn't even bring up Evan Ingram. I think there's a lot more weaponry on the offensive side for Jacksonville than they give him credit for. At least the books are giving some respect here. I know this seems like a big total right out of the gate, but as you said, I have no problem whatsoever thinking that Miami's going to put up points, because they absolutely are. Outside of Hines Allen out there on the edge, I don't see a lot on the Jacksonville side of the ball that I'm all that impressed by. And I do think this ends up being just a shootout right from the get-go, and probably one of the most interesting games from a DFS perspective for me. But looking at this over, just think that's kind of like, again, just talking sides totals. I really like this from like a get your card started kind of perspective. I've basically only played props here so far for week 1, but you could entertain this total going over for me.
I'm a little hesitant about I don't necessarily think the Jags offense would go off, but I mean, I would go over too if I was picking a total. Depending on what kind of changes we're going to see. Obviously, Vic Fangio's gone from the Dolphins, right? But depending on what kind of changes, if they come out, I don't see any reason why they would switch from running the amount of man coverage they ran last year, because they were excellent at it. And the Jags, much more successful throwing the ball on zone. And the Jags also couldn't run the ball last year. So I don't necessarily like the way the Jags offense is equipped to give the Dolphins defense problems. But I mean, beautiful weather in Miami. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a shootout. Yeah. But either way, I'm on the Dolphins. Brad, you started talking.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to add a little tidbit. You'd said about playing in Miami. Miami's probably one of the hardest places to play during this time of year, because of the sun beats directly on the opponents there. It's a 1 o'clock kick. They have the away bench is where the sun is going to be focal point. There's no shade. 6-2 against the spread at home last season as well. I like the Dolphins to get it done. It's cool that you're getting even money on such a key number of 3 too.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people like toast in the comments. Like the line movement is worrisome, right? Because that 3.5 clearly got bought down to 3. So obviously there's some sharp action that came in at Jacksonville, but you got to keep in mind that actually came in and bought Jacksonville at 3.5. So now we're looking at a whole new market now that it's been bought down to 3. And I think at 3, I couldn't hold back anymore. If you listened when we talked about this game a few weeks ago, or we talked about the Dolphins preview, I think I said I like the Dolphins in this game, but I believe my exact words were, I think this market's going to get bought down a little bit. So it actually worked out exactly how I drew it up. But yeah, I got the Dolphins at -3 like I wanted. Prop Beaver?
Yeah, I will be joining you on Miami -3. Brad, Lindy, hello. Didn't get to say hello yet. I've kind of been
up, young
this
man?
far. How are we?
I couldn't even hear my guy Brad. That's why I had to
Yeah.
refresh it. I was like, I got to hear BLT for sure. Got to hear the goods.
Yeah, joining you on the Miami -3. I just think I honestly think this line's a little weird. I feel like this should be 4.5, 5. I think Miami is a different breed than the Jaguars. I thought this line was a bit short because of the amount of injuries that Miami was dealing with early. I mean, we had Tyreek and Jalen Waddle injured. Both of them returned to practice thus far. I thought the line was going to get a bit bigger, honestly, when we saw those guys get the news that they were returning to practice. So for the line to go to 3 after that, honestly gives me a bit of pause. So maybe instead of me confidently putting that as my big play here, what I'm going to go and do instead, my preferred play here, is rather, in fact, Mr. Christian Kirk, because I still do think that this is going to be a passing script for the Jaguars here, but I think the better play here, and the man who has the best, I guess, matchup for the Jaguars passing game, leaning to Lindy's over, is Christian Kirk, because Cater Kahu probably botched that. I botched that pronunciation, but the only thing that sucks worse than my pronunciation is his coverage last year, especially in the slot. He ranked 89th amongst corners into 9 successful offensive plays. And with the addition of Kendall Fuller to a Dolphins cornerback room that already boasts Jalen Ramsey, passing on the outside to Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr., who I love, also Lindy, that may be a bit tough for Lawrence, especially in their first game together. Got to get that connection together. But as a slot specialist, especially in 3 wide receiver sets, which I expect the Jags to employ a lot of, considering their investments this offseason, Kirk is going to draw Kahu, and that's by far the easiest assignment on the team. We saw guys have a ton of success producing out of the slot against Miami last season, especially at the end of last season. I mean, just look at the last 3 weeks. Shakir had 5 receptions for 101 yards out of the slot in week 18. Flowers, 3 for 106. Lamb, 4 for 94 in week 16. Now, I know that there are some changes with the defensive coordinator, but I think Weaver is going to stay the same in terms of the main coverage usage. And something that should help us here is that Weaver was a guy who in 2020 with the Houston Texans ran a high amount of blitz. And on top of that, with the injuries to the pass rush that have gone on with Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips had his Achilles tear. On top of that, Van Ginkel left in the offseason. I could see them using a high blitz rate here as well to overcompensate for the loss of pass rush. With the high blitz rate, he may be targeting that intermediate guy a bit more instead of the deep routes because of the lack of time to throw. So that'd be beneficial for Christian Kirk as well. Something I saw as well is the fact that most sportsbooks have Kirk's receptions line at 4.5, juiced up to -145 to the over. With 5+ receptions in 2021, Christian Kirk 22-5 to the over, averaging 81.1 yards per game. So I just think we're catching too much of a discount here for the fact that Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis are arriving in this offense. I mean, in this matchup particularly, I don't think that the competition is going to take away from his usage here.
And also, Anthony Weaver was with the Ravens last year, who also ran a shitload of man coverage. So, yeah, I know Vic Fangio's gone, so there's the question of, like, hey, is the Dolphins still going to run that press coverage? But the guy they're bringing in from the Ravens, they were 6th in man coverage frequency. The Dolphins were 4th. So I expect to see a shitload of man coverage.
Very good point.
All right, next game. Cruising right along. You deleted our names.
Yeah, Jesus, what happened? All right. So what's that thing? All right.
There we go. All right. Vikings, Giants, and there's a man on the panel wearing a Vikings jersey, so it would be crazy to not let him speak first on his team that he thinks so highly of. You have a Vikings NFC Championship ticket, right?
Yeah, I don't. That's not a thing that I own. I do own a Giants money line ticket, so
really?
That bad, man. Wearing the Vikings jersey. But I do think that there are some major issues, starting at the quarterback position. Obviously, we know Darnold going back into the Meadowlands. Oh, I'm sure he's very excited to go back to a home that will probably be very, very kind to him. Obviously, different team. But I am very much, jury is out on Mr. Sam Darnold. If one of you believe that he is like a 10-1, 9-1 candidate to win Comeback Player of the Year, I will just slap you. I will save you from yourself. He is not that guy.
But isn't he disqualified though because of the new rules?
He got to learn. What was that?
Is he disqualified because of the new rules? I was trying to understand those.
I hope so, because I just saw that he had way too short of a number, and y'all need like AA or God or your higher power or whatever it is if you are going to fire up Sam Darnold to win that award here. He is going to create a massive amount of opportunity for Justin Jefferson this season. We saw Kian made Robbie Anderson an absolute fantasy god for a season, but a couple of seasons actually. I'm looking across the board and everything else for this game from a prop perspective. I like unders for a lot of it. It is an ugly football game, basically the inverse offensively of what we just saw. Do I trust Kevin O'Connell here as a coach from an offensive scheme perspective? Yes. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a decent workload to start off this season. A lot of what we end up doing later on in the year, I get worried about Aaron Jones from a fantasy perspective in irrelevant football games with his injury past and with the contract that we dished out to him. So Ty Chandler, definitely somebody you'll want to be stashing away for later down the line. But that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves for week one. From a betting perspective, I don't see how you don't like some of the improvements that the Giants have made, specifically at the wide receiver position, bringing in an X, like an absolute dog for the first time. The number one graded wide receiver for me over the course of the last two seasons for me was Malik Neighbors coming out of LSU here. He is just an absolute specimen. I think he is going to smash, not necessarily right off the bat here in week one, considering some of the upgrades we've had to our cornerback position, specifically, handing out $10 million. Why did he want to even come here play for us? But whatever. The Giants are going to roll in this one. Enjoy it. At least I can be a self-loathing Vikings fan while making money.
Oh, I'm definitely on the other side. I believe in your boys. Brad, did you want to go next or Prop Beaver?
Go ahead, Prop Beaver.
Nah, I'm with you. You want me to speak on behalf of us, Kyle?
Yeah. All right. Prop Beaver in agreement here.
Yeah. Sir, Lindy, what do you think? The Vikings are winning 0 games this year? Chief, they have to win something. This Giants team is truly under because this Giants team is truly a pile of shit.
Defensively.
No, I mean Lindy, hey, this is my time now. Lindy, this team is truly a pile of shit. And if the Vikings are winning this game, what game are they gonna fucking win? This is ridiculous now, Lindy.
We're not gonna win any.
You gotta give me a shot. You gotta give the Vikings a shot. I mean, Daniel Jones against the blitz last year. I mean, your boy Brian Flores, he blitzed on what, 50.7% of opposing dropbacks.
I heard he's a really nice coach. Tua had a lot of nice things.
I don't need a nice coach. I need a coach who's gonna blitz a lot against Daniel Jones, and he did that 50.7% of dropbacks, the most since 2014 last year. How was Daniel Jones against the blitz last year? Oh, well, there was 38 quarterbacks that I'm looking at in my sample size. He was 37th in pass grade, 37th in yards per attempt, 38th in big time throw percentage, 38th in turnover worthy play percentage, and 38th in passer rating. So you could argue he was the worst quarterback in the NFL against the blitz last year. The only thing working for Daniel Jones is that they run a bit of zone coverage. Congratulations. But we now have the addition of Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin, and we're moving Byron Murphy back to his true position at nickel. Everybody's going to mention the fact that you lost Danielle Hunter in the pass rush, but I think you bolstered the pass rush by bringing in Dallas Turner, and you brought in, Who were the other two guys? I'm blanking right now because I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the prospects of you winning this game. I don't think you understand. Yes. Exactly.
Van Ginkel?
Yeah, because of my friend Van Ginkel as well. Exactly. And then on top of that, we're just banking on a good defense facing a dog shit offense that really only brought in Malik Neighbors, your smart but angry defensive coordinator should be honed in on him. Everybody knows what to hone in on there. And then on the other side, listen, the Giants' rush defense was absolutely horrible last year. Unless they're pulling some miracle work, it's not going to be much better this year. And Aaron Jones is going to enter a rushing system that fits him. Vikings love to run under center. And guess what? Aaron Jones' second success rate under center last year. So they're going to be running it under center. It's going to be a beautiful marriage this year. Sam Darnold just needs to not be a pile of shit. And guess what? When you got Robbie Anderson and Adam Gase, you're going to be a pile of shit. And if you got Joe Brady, who is one of the most overrated OCs of all time, you're going to be a pile of shit. Okay? Give him a shot. Vikings.
Strong. You got to give us a shot, bro.
You got to give us a shot.
Brad, would you like to follow that?
I kind of side with Prop Beaver here, but I end up passing on this game. It was funny. I was looking at this market in the preseason. First team or last team to get a win, or fewest wins. And I actually didn't like Giants to be the last team to get a win. I like them as fewest wins because they have those 2 games against the Vikings and the Commanders, a possible winning spot against the Vikings. They were underdogs in every game they played at home last season. They have 3 wins at home last season, and they were 5-2-1 against the spread at home as well. So they're definitely Brian Daboll definitely knows how to drum it up at home and get that squad rolling. But yeah, I'd go Vikings or pass here. I just don't trust Daniel Jones. Run game obviously goes way down. And even with the addition of Malik Neighbors, you still have to have a competent quarterback getting him the ball. And I don't have Daniel Jones, and I don't hold him in that high of esteem.
So, okay. Lindy, I will give you that. Prop Beaver is a little overpassionate about Sam Darnold. I am more in agreement with you of your assessment of Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold is some diamond in the rough that's never gotten a shot. I don't think Sam Darnold is very good. But I do think he hit on a lot of really good points. We know Brian Flores is coming with the blitz. I mean, we could already pencil in like the Vikings as first in blitz rate this year, and we know Daniel Jones is horrible against the blitz, and they're coming. And yeah, look, the Giants did bring in some pieces. They improved their offensive line, which was in a drastic situation.
I gotta give props on that.
Yeah,
Andrew Thomas is fantastic.
Yeah, well, they brought in. I think they have 3 new pieces.
Eleanor, Van Roten's okay.
Illuminor.
Van Roten's okay, but the other guy, Runyon from the Packers, that was a big one.
Right. So not saying these aren't great moves. I'm not saying that's going to be a great thing for the Giants this year. But what do we know about offensive lines? Take some time. This is week 1 against a team that's about to send 60% blitzes at you. That's not a spot you want to be in with a brand new offensive line. And if you really take a look at the Giants offense, who scares you? I mean, a rookie receiver making his first ever start, Devin Singletary. I think the Giants offense is terrible. And maybe if the offensive line gets themselves together, maybe in the second half of the season, we could see some opportunities to back the Giants offense to move the chains. But like Prop Beaver said, this Vikings defense, I think, is good. They lost Daniel Hunter, and obviously he's a superstar, and that's what everyone sees. But they bring in Van Ginkel, who was excellent last year.
AVG.
They bring in Jonathan Grenner. They also bring in Stephen Gilmore. I think the Vikings defense is going to be better, and it wasn't bad last year. It was actually pretty good. So I think the Vikings defense is going to be good, and I don't think the Giants could do shit against it. And then on the offensive side of the ball, all I need Sam Darnold to do is not turn the ball over, just manage the game, which, hey, is a tall ask.
We're 2 years removed from the Giants going into Minnesota and just taking our souls from our body. And it was Daniel Jones winning a playoff game on the road in a pretty hostile environment of feeling. I'm just saying, you guys are looking at 6 games in 2023 from Daniel Jones, and you're not giving him enough credit for carrying a Giants team offensively with like Darius Slayton and freaking Wan'Dale Robinson, and nobody's on the other side of the ball.
I think you're giving too much credit.
Daniel Jones might actually surprise you with how functional he can be with an absolute dog in Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors in college, going back to last year, he had over 1,500 receiving yards in college, 14 tutties. I know that he had, one of the greatest offensive schemes you could possibly run into, and, obviously one of the better quarterbacks you could run into in Daniels, but I don't see how you see anything that he did on tape at LSU and not absolutely fawn and obsess over this dude this year. Malik Neighbors is by far the most important acquisition for Daniel Jones that's ever occurred in Daniel Jones' career. You can talk about Saquon Barkley, but when that's the fundamental, when your running back is the fundamental go-to guy in the passing game and the run game, it is just difficult for Daniel Jones. He has a dude now. Now, it sucks that it's going to be Gilmore on the outside on him the entire day. I think this is going to be an ugly, very difficult first spot, but like, I think Neighbors is just way better than you guys do, apparently.
It's not that
No. Neighbors is elite.
Hey.
He is elite. Yeah. It's the guy throwing him the ball that we're against.
Yeah, if Malik Neighbors could throw the ball to Malik Neighbors, I would. Yeah. I might be on the Giants.
It's also week 1. It's his first NFL game. All right.
I'll take the home dog.
I think Lindy is still a little scarred from that playoff game. It sounds like he's
honestly,
still hurting.
If anything, the Vikings have a why.
He's coming, baby. March down the field multiple times with these tiny little slot wide receivers you've never heard of, and just peppered. It was disturbing. It was
peppered.
Yeah, see, you have Isaiah Hodgins PTSD.
The fact that he used the word peppered to describe it.
Isaiah Hodgins went ballistic.
Yeah, I know. That was a tragedy.
The word peppered, that's a very, very animated word. Like, Lindy still remembers. He still wakes up screaming from that game.
Because I woke up. No, I definitely chugged a pint. So my buddies brought like this big, like double pint glass thing, and then they just filled up a pitcher, and I just drank the whole pitcher at halftime. I was like, this is not going to end well, and it did not end well.
All right. Next game is Titans-Bears. Now, I know Prop Beaver has a lot to say about this game. Would either of you guys like to go first, or do you want to let the psychopath go on his rant?
I'll go first to get mine out of the way. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm really excited about this bet, actually, because I've bet this man in this game. I mean, I've bet this man so many times with this prop in college football, and I've gotten screwed so many times where he's had like 50 yards and taken 30 yards of sacks. I'm talking about Caleb Williams, over 16.5 rushing yards. So the good news about college football, I mean, the NFL compared to college football, is sacks don't count against quarterback rushing yards. Last year, USC allowed 33 sacks. Caleb Williams still averaged 11.8 rushing yards per game with all of those sacks they accounted for. The year before that, when he was 100% and not dealing with injury lingering into the season, he averaged 25.5 in the season. Before that was closer to 40.5 per game. The Tennessee Titans, it's funny. Like, I think sometimes we get stuck in just looking at stats too for like, oh, how many rushing yards does this team allow per game in the NFL? We have to look at the statutes that the Tennessee Titans played last year. The Titans only played against 1 or 2 quarterbacks who like to improvise. And what I mean by that is guys who still are looking downfield but will move with their legs and take off. Lamar Jackson, who had 62 rushing yards, and Mr. Bryce Young. Yeah, Mr. Bryce Young had a terrible offensive line, but still was able to improvise and still rack up close to 20 yards in their meeting last year. I like Caleb Williams. He's the guy who wants to make the play downfield, and he's smart enough to know when it's not there, he'll be down to scramble. I think 16.5 is an easy number to eclipse.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. And
yeah,
I can't believe they count the sacks against rushing yards still. It's crazy.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. I did the projections this morning for all these games from a DFS perspective. We'll be covering that on Stochastic, but 39.5 rushing yards is what I have Caleb Williams at in this game.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I played his alt line,
I'm
25.5.
Alternate everything. It's an absurd. It's my second favorite prop on the board for the entire weekend.
So
yep, I played his alternate 25.5 up to at 190 plus 195.
Wow, so you guys both like this a lot. Okay. Yep. All right. Prop Beaver, are you ready to go with your notes?
Yeah. So give me Titans.
We're both on the Titans, by the way. Me and Prop Beaver, and this is his angle. He nailed it, and I agree with 99% of the shit he's about to say. Now he's a little crazy, so there's some of the things he's about to go a little bit overboard.
Well, the line moved on me like a little slut this morning. I don't know what the hell this is. I was at plus 170 and plus 4.5. Like when I was writing it this morning, and now it's plus 3.5. Like, what on earth type of line movement is this? What the fuck? 1 second, sorry. Just getting my thoughts and all my things together.
His thoughts together.
Get better, Prop Beaver. Just get better.
I will get better. You guys know what it is. I'm trying to get my write-up up. I also like the money line too. Okay.
Someone said Beaver's been to the tanning salon. That's the filter that's on his camera.
I was gonna
thing.
say,
That's not him.
my tan is all natural.
You put the lotion on the skin.
No,
you put the lotion on the skin.
I go and I walk. That's my tan. Okay, so If you don't know, you will now know. This is the trend with the number one overall QBs. The last 9 to go and make their first start are 2-7 against the spread. They're 0-8-1 straight up the last 9, which is pretty ugly. If we're just looking at the last 18 QBs in this situation, they are 3-14-1 straight up and 5-12-1 against the spread in that week 1 game. But I just really like this matchup overall. I really liked the scenario, obviously, with that trend going into this one. But then when I was looking at the matchup, I just really think everything points to a Titans bet. Will Levis is a guy who has some major weaknesses and some major strengths. Last year, when he was kept clean, he's actually really solid. The yards per attempt and the passer rating, pretty good. But when he was pressured, he was god-awful. The issue is that for the Bears is that they were horrible at creating pressure last year. And now some people may say, oh, well, when they brought Montez Sweat on, their pressure rate had to have this massive jump, right? Well, no. When they brought Montez Sweat on, their pressure rate jumped from 32nd to 25th. The only thing that brought their defense to such a prominent standpoint during the second half of the season was how impactful their pressure rate was from weeks 1 through 9. They had the worst pressure rate in the league, and not only that, but their DVOA when they created pressure was also worst in the league. From weeks 10 on, the Bears not only were they 25th in pressure rate, but their DVOA when creating pressure was 12th. So that was the main thing. So I don't really think that they're going to have this massive leap in pressure rate even this season. So that's great for Levis. On top of that, he was much better against zone. He went from 4th in yards per attempt and 2nd in EPA against zone to 34th and 33rd against man. The Bears defense last year was top 10 in zone coverage. Now, some of you may also be saying, well, they're changing their defense, their D coordinator. So what about that? Well, according to Gene Chamberlain, a vet in Bears various publications, Eric Washington's actually not going to be calling the defensive plays initially for Chicago. It's still going to be Eberflus. So I'm expecting a lot of the tendencies in terms of the coverages to actually remain the same, especially for the first game here. So we should be seeing a lot of zone. Again, good for Levis. Another thing, the guy Eric Washington was saying he plans on generating pressure with its front 4, emphasizing that they're not really planning on blitzing again like last year. Another thing that Will Levis was horrible against. So everything's stacking up there. And then on top of that, the main thing that really got me to this was the trends with the quarterback. If you just look at the last 9 quarterbacks, the first overall picks and their average stat line, I mean, averaging a 54 completion percentage, 2 whole picks per game, a 63 average passer rating. I mean, the only number 1 overall pick going back to 2002 to post a passer rating above 75.2 was Cam Newton. He went ballistic for 400 plus yards and 110 passer rating. Not even he won that game. In fact, he didn't even cover as a dog. He pushed. So you can make the argument that Caleb Williams is a different breed. He is one of the best supporting cast in terms of talent we've ever seen for a rookie QB. And while that is absolutely true, the fact remains that Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck, they too were both generational prospects, and they too looked like absolute dog shit in the first NFL action. Give me the Titans with the points. Give me the Titans with the money line. Tighten up, baby.
Yeah. The two main points that sold me, and I mean, you might remember this from last year if you were betting Titans games. Will Levis, you get pressure on him, he's a mess. Throw some man coverage out there, he's a mess. But if you can't pressure the quarterback and you're sitting back in zone coverage, which aptly describes the Chicago Bears, he can carve you up. He's actually got very significant looking splits against zone coverage, very significantly positive splits when given a clean pocket. So this Bears team, I mean, the Bears have like such a sweet Madden team, right? Like the quarterback's cool, running backs, receivers, secondary's pretty cool, linebackers are cool. But where are the biggest question marks for the Bears? On the offensive and defensive line. And certainly in week 1, those are some areas I'd like to have less of a question mark. So yeah, getting over a field goal, I bet Tennessee. I'm on the Titans. Getting over the field goal would have to be Tennessee in a favorable spot for Will Levis. Not exactly blindly riding that trend that Prop Beaver said about the first overall pick, but I mean, it's kind of hard to ignore it. They're pretty significant. The first overall pick loses his first game. It almost always happens.
What sold me was how.
Well, I'm more.
Yeah, sorry. What sold me was like seeing guys like Luck and all these quarterbacks that like I've come to know as like absolute beasts, like such fat balls in those games. Like just looking at the completion percentage, I'm like, God damn, that's bad. Like, Matthew Stafford had a 27 passer rating in his first NFL game. 27 passer rating?
This is a different situation. I mean, again, they have sold on. I mean, Chicago's just literally said all in. They've done everything they possibly could to be all in this season. And when you talk about DJ Moore, Keenan Allen out of the slot, I know that there's talk about them not running a ton of 3 wide receiver as much and potentially having Allen off the field a little bit more. But that's only probably a positive for them because of Dunze on the other side and Allen, who does have hamstring injuries, despite the fact that last year was like the only season we've seen him run pure from an injury perspective. You get to just kind of put him in bubble wrap in certain times. I think this is a really good profile for Chicago's offense going forward. My big question mark is no Autry there for Tennessee. He's off to Houston. And I don't think that Tennessee's defense is any good whatsoever. I don't think you guys are like arguing that they're going to be, but I just have so many issues where I don't think they're going to. You firmly think Tennessee's going to be a good.
He loves the Titans defense. You're going to trigger him right now. You're going to trigger him.
Yeah, I think you're on crack, dude.
Okay. Okay. I think crack is delicious, but also I'm pretty positive that you have to look at Danico Autry as like he was the dude. There were conversations. Tennessee was terrible last year, and they're like, does Autry deserve recognition for like defensive player of the year anyway? Like he was that electric on a field. And I know he's older, like 33, 34 years of age, but like that is just so much production that you are asking a lot of, I will say, unproven pieces, guys that necessarily didn't grade out all that well. Kenneth Murray stuffing the middle in the linebacking position. I think Ernest Jones is pretty good, but like I look at this defensive line specifically, and if you're not pressuring Caleb Williams and getting him out of the pocket, and again, I'm hoping Caleb Williams runs a lot here in this game. I'm projecting him to. I think that's going to be an underrated part of his game. I think you're going to run into some Caleb Williams being a lot better than you think he is type situations this season. Like Caleb Williams, I would argue is going to look very CJ Stroudish when it's all finished. He's that dude.
He's legit.
All right. Let's move on to some college. Brad, you hanging out for college football, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Clear out the name so that they can see Lindy's Twitter up there. You guys probably, most of you know who Lindy is, but for those of you that don't, probably was taking away the name. There it is. It's at Eric Lindquist, but you probably know him as Lindy's Locks. That's on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. He does a daily show every day. He's tagged in the tweet. He's on here all the time. For those of you that don't know him, make sure you show those guys some support. We really appreciate him coming on. Lindy?
Appreciate it, Kyle.
Yep.
We'll see you guys. Bye, PLT. We'll see you, my dude. Bye,
Let's go Vikes. Let's go Vikes.
Yeah, go Vikes on a different year.
All right. We're starting off with the big one. I'm interested what Brad's about to say about this game because I sat there staring at this for like an hour and a half. Like, what am I going to say? Because obviously, you know what? Let's get a chance to get Scoop and Andy on the screen. So yeah, they're bringing them on now. Obviously, this is a huge game. It's Texas on the road at Michigan, and no question, not that we can use Week 1 games against Mountain West teams as the ultimate gauge, but no question, one of these teams looks significantly more impressive than the other one, and I think we all know who's who here. Texas beat the ever-loving shit out of Colorado State last week, a Colorado State team that we all think is going to be pretty good in that Mountain West Conference. So it's not like they played a complete scrub. We're expecting Colorado State to I'd say top 4 team in the Mountain West. I like this Colorado State team. So that was very impressive. Michigan, not so impressive, although I think maybe people might not realize that Fresno State might actually have a defense this year. So there's a little bit of that. I think Fresno's defense might be better than people think, but no question, Texas was significantly more impressive than Michigan in the first week, and then it shows because this line opened at 3.5 back in June. It's now over a touchdown, which I'm not going to lie, is crazy to me. So Andy's going to lay the 7.5 because he's an overreacting, overdramatic person. So why don't you go first and tell us why you're going to lay the 7.5?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily me being an overreactor. I've been telling you for a while, I don't think this Michigan team is very good. I think a lot of it is what they did last year is obviously going to get them a lot of hype. I did like them against Fresno State. I thought they'd come in and play a little bit better than that. Also thought Alex Orji would be the quarterback and that they'd have a little bit of a dual threat option there. That didn't happen. They didn't even have one option, really. They weren't running the ball very well. and they certainly didn't throw the ball very well, neither one of them. So, I mean, pretty simple. I thought that Colorado State was going to score a couple of touchdowns on Texas. I think Colorado State's got a better quarterback and a better receiver room than Michigan. As crazy as that sounds, it's probably true. They didn't do either. They didn't score a single point. This Texas defense looked legit. They did lose a lot, but they came in and they looked good in week 1. Now, will that carry over? We'll see. But I think it's more likely that defense is really strong than that Michigan's offense was just a fluke. I don't think that was a fluke. I think that's who Michigan is. I just think that this offense is going to struggle. You can't go from losing your top running back, your quarterback, all these receivers. You can't go from losing all that and winning a national championship, not bringing any of it back, and then go and be the same team. It just doesn't happen. So they just lost too much, and they looked really bad. So, and I liked how Texas looked. So yeah, I'm laying it. I know it's a tough road game. Don't get me wrong, and they haven't lost at the Big House since 2021 or something like that. But this is a different breed. This is one of the top 4 teams in the country coming in, and I think this would be tough.
Yeah, I think you're drinking the Kool-Aid a little too intensely here, but let's swing it over. Who wants to go first, Brad or Scoop?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just because I'm just going to straddle the fence here, and I'm going to say a bunch of things that are really interesting, but never actually make a stand or plant my flag on either side.
Bold.
Yeah. So I'm being real bold and taking a lot of danger here, but this game's pretty interesting because, this line opened around -3, -3.5. I think there's some 2.5s out there, excuse me. Then ballooned to 7.5. I think we're going to get some buyback to the 7 here for Texas and people getting on Michigan. Funny stats here when I look at it. Now let's just talk about Michigan last week. There were 2 teams who I thought were going to have the post-Joe Burrow LSU effect. And what that means is 2 teams who had crazy good success because they had a lot of production and a lot of talent. The next year, the freaking wheels fall off immediately. That was Florida State for me. The year before that, they were returning something like 96% of production, number 1 in the country. And you saw what happened in 2 games. Then you have Michigan, who returned like 75% of the production the year before last. Win a national championship, then that production leaves Roman Wilson, JJ, Corum. Even the doggone coach is gone. And then we see struggles in week 1. With the way that Michigan play, if you can't get the ground game going, you're in a lot of trouble. And I didn't have Donovan Edwards rated highly at all. I was surprised this man was on the cover of a video game. Last year, exactly. Donovan Edwards was a fade even when we knew he was going to get a ton of work because they'd be up so late. Donovan Edwards, to me, is not a good running back, at least not a running back that's going to carry your program when you're struggling to pass the ball. That's why, despite everything inside of me saying you should be betting the 7.5 for Michigan because they're 3-0 against the spread as their last 3 times of being a dog. I think they won 2 of those outright. I just can't do it because I'm afraid of what happens for Michigan when they get into this dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight, right? Steve Sarkisian's pretty smart. With Michigan, they're going to hang their hats on really good run D, right? Like they were top 5 run D unit last year. They'll be I'd say probably top 10 this year just because they're not going to have so many crazy leads where teams are playing in such negative game scripts where they pass it out. But Steve Sarkisian's such a good coach. He is going to scheme guys open. Like when we were seeing Isaiah Bond, man, RIP, that's sad for me. When we were seeing Isaiah Bond, he is one of those guys who you're going to be able to use as an extension of your running game. So I don't think that just because maybe Jaden Blue doesn't get going and they stop him for 40 yards in the game, I don't think that just stifles their offensive attack. I think you use guys like Bond who have legitimate track speed, who are shifty. You use them as an extension of the pass game. Sarkisian used to love, when he was at Alabama, used to love drumming up screen passes when teams were honing in on the quarterback, coming in with a lot of pressure. I think that's going to happen here as well. I didn't pick a side. There are 2 bets I'm leaning on. I haven't locked them in yet. Bond over 53.5 receiving yards. Bond played 35 snaps last game. Saw something like 7 targets. Average depth of target was 8.2. It looks like he's going to be the guy they're going to focus on here in this offense. And why I like that number a little bit more, I think he probably would have opened around 45.5 if he didn't have such a big game last game in a limited time. But I like that because I think they're going to try to get him going in those quicker passes to kind of change up the tempo and not let them just be able to think they're going to stop the run here. I mean, I also probably going to be a sicko and take Jaden Blue under 65.5 rushing yards. I just feel like this is going to be one of those gritty games where it's going to be a lot of punts, a lot of really short runs, and then maybe Texas, it's just too much, kind of like when Texas went to Alabama. But maybe we do give some reprieve for this Michigan squad because they were the ones who were like, oh, shoot, we host Texas next week. Not Texas traveling to Ann Arbor with the look ahead. We'll see. I can't bet a side, though, but if I were to pick a side, it would have to be Texas. I just think there's too much offensively and defensively for Michigan. This is not a good Michigan team.
All right, Scoop, are you with them?
Yeah, they pretty much said everything I was going to, but yeah, this opened at 3. I mean, it was 6.5 last night when I went to bed. Now it's 7.5. Everyone's betting Texas. Everyone I know is betting Texas, but
not everyone, you know.
I know everyone that has the right side. Yeah, I mean, all the money in the bets are on Texas, but the way Michigan played against Fresno, Donovan Edwards did absolutely nothing. Mullings was actually the clear go-to back, so that's a bit concerning. I don't know if Donovan Edwards is even good or not. So, I mean, I just don't see it for Michigan. I'm going to be betting the heavy public side. They completely shut down this Colorado State offense, who I definitely thought would get some points at least. I was wrong on that side. Quinn Ewers looked great. So did Arch Manning, by the way, in case you're taking tabs on that. But I think Isaiah Bond's going to have a great year, personally. I think the defensive line needs to do better getting to the quarterback because their secondary looks phenomenal. And I think Texas is going to win this one by double digits. As much as Michigan's defense is great, their offense I don't see them scoring enough to keep it close. And if they're down early, they're going to abandon the run game. And you really trust David Warren to throw the ball? I think he's kind of garbage. So I think this line's too low. I think this should be around 10.5.
All right. Well, let me start let me start by saying no, take that down. Let me start by saying I don't disagree with Texas offense being too much firepower here. Remember how elite Michigan's pass rush was the second half of last year, led them to the national championship. I mean, that pass rush was insane. Well, I mean, it certainly takes a step back. They lost 6 of their 7 defensive front. The defensive front set for Michigan, 6 of the 7 starters are gone. Now, Texas, you might not have known this, but Texas had one of, if not the best pass protection last year as far as offensive line goes. Their offensive line was elite at keeping Quinn Ewers safe. Well, 4 of their 5 starters are back on the Texas offensive line. And Quinn Ewers is a guy that has pretty significant splits when you look at when given a clean pocket versus when pressured. He actually struggles when you get pressure on him. Well, this is last year. But when you give him a clean pocket, Quinn Ewers might be the best quarterback in the country when he's given a clean pocket. So Michigan with a brand new defensive front against the best pass protection in college football last year with all their guys back, I don't think they're going to get home. And Michigan's defense without that, with the pass rush being there, I think Ewers is going to be able to cook. That's why I like your Bond over 53.5 receiving yards prop. I think that'll hit. But I think you are all, and I should say you are all, I think everyone is everyone's kind of forgotten about, everyone's kind of just like, okay, Texas has this elite defensive front, this elite run defense, right? I had to call bullshit on that. I mean, yes, they had probably the best run defense in college football last year. That is not really what we expect to see from Texas year in and year out. And by the way, that's gone. I mean, Sweat's gone. Byron Murphy's gone. Ford's gone. They all got drafted. All those elite pieces in Texas defensive front 7 are gone. They're in the NFL. The defensive coordinator is gone. Jeff Choate. We saw him dug in against SMU in the opener with Nevada. Jeff Choate's gone. So the pieces that I thought made Texas that elite run defense, they're not there anymore. And by the way, they just played Colorado State, a team that I like, but they don't have a run game. They are just a quarterback and receivers. That's it. They do not have a run game. They actually averaged 3.6 yards per carry, and their longest rush was 11 yards. So they were able to hand the ball off and get push and run the ball a little bit. This is on the road in the big house. Michigan's going to run the football. I think Michigan's going to run the football in this game, and there's no way I'm laying more than a touchdown on the road in the big house where Michigan's going to be able to run the ball. Michigan has won 23 consecutive home games, 23 in a row. Got to go back 3 years to find the last. Oh no, 3 years, 4 years or whatever. 2020 is the last time Michigan lost a game in this building. So as far as the bet, I know everyone's gonna hate this. Everyone's gonna hate both. I think it goes over the total, and I think Michigan covers. So I think over 43 would be my favorite bet for this, because I think Texas might hang a big number, but I don't think Texas can stop Michigan's rushing attack. And I know that's like almost the opposite of L. Everyone thinks this game is going to go, but I think we're going to see Michigan run the ball, because I think Texas run defense isn't what it was last year. We just weren't able to see it last week because they played a team that doesn't run the ball. So that's how I see it going. Do I think there's any betting value in this game? No. But that's how I
absolutely feel. I think it's smart bettors are going to line up to take over a touchdown, right? Like, I just think, without even caring who the two teams are, knowing that this has gone from 3 to 7.5, I think pros who don't even watch college football are just going to see that line movement and say, no injuries on the front. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to take that.
Yeah, agreed. So that's how I'm leaning. What kind of bet I place, we'll see. Maybe a Michigan team total over. Totals at 43.5. They're catching 7.5. Probably get a real nice number there. Quick math, you could probably get like a 15.5 for Michigan team total over, and I think they're going to run. But all right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, Northern Illinois, Notre Dame. I guess we don't have an up next here, but whatever. Must have been something with the after effects. But Northern Illinois, Notre Dame. Now, if you guys watch the preview show, we're probably not going to spend too much time on this one. But if you guys watch the preview show, you know that I think this is a nice pick to win the MAC. They bring back a ton of production on the offensive line. I also think their defense might be improved, which is a must, because the defense was a little rough last year. I like Northern Illinois in this new era. It was time for Rocky Lombardi to go. It was time for a new quarterback there. So I really like Northern Illinois, but I'm not going to spend any time talking about it here, because everything I think Northern Illinois could do well this year, I don't think they're going to do it in South Bend. So put up Northern Illinois plus 28.5, but I do like this team, but it's hard to make a case for them doing what I think they're going to do on their MAC opponents in South Bend. So Northern Illinois, a pass.
Yeah, Notre Dame looked great on the road. Well, their defense did, not exactly Riley Leonard.
Flat spot, Scoop?
I mean, I lean Northern Illinois. Both defenses played well in that Notre Dame game. Texas A&M just couldn't back up from the mistakes from Weigman. It wasn't a pretty game. Leonard run for a bunch of yards, and the reason they won was because he took care of the ball personally. It doesn't help that Wyman was throwing up on the sidelines before the second half. Well, yeah, this Notre Dame secondary is going to be great. Xavier Watts looks like the real deal. It wasn't a fluke from last year when he led the league in interceptions. But, yeah, I mean, they're going home now, getting a Northern Illinois team that has Ethan Hampton. They threw for 5 touchdowns last game, 706 yards of total offense, absolute domination offensively. They also gave up 17 first downs. That's the problem. They didn't have any takeaways. I don't know if the defense is great. I'd lean Northern Illinois. They got a ton back from last year for both sides of the ball. I like that I'm getting the hook with the 28.5. I got a nice four touchdown cushion, but yeah, I would lean that way.
At plus 28, absolutely not. At plus 28.5, walk.
Give me that point. Yo, I hope it's like 49-28 or whatever.
49-21 would be.
21.
Yeah.
Math is hard.
You guys have anything to say about this one?
That's so hard to figure out.
I do. I'm on Northern Illinois under 9.5.
Damn, no respect.
No respect.
Points. For me, there's a lot of questions about this Northern Illinois team. I would say that if you're going to want to bet Northern Illinois, it's awfully coming on a letdown spot from Notre Dame after the big win that probably they didn't deserve, but they were great in defense in the entire game. But when you talk about Northern Illinois, how are they going to be successful? How do they want to be successful running the ball there? 52nd success rate. I know it's only one game, so how much stock you're going to put in it, but 72nd in EPA in offensive success rate through the pass. Well, then they're going against a great secondary and a great defensive line. I think by the end of the year, we're going to see defensive success rates from Notre Dame closer to like 5 and 7 respectively. Right now, they're 19 and 4. Those are rankings, by the way. I think this is going to be an elite unit. That was probably their toughest task, in my opinion, as a defensive line versus offensive line that they're going to see in quite some time. It's going to be really lopsided. And that's not saying lopsided in terms of not covering for Northern Illinois either. I do think this is another low-scoring game. I just think with Riley Leonard, this Notre Dame team is going to be a low-scoring team. They're going to run the ball a ton. Even when things don't go well for Riley Leonard, he likes to take off and improvise with his legs, which just chews up more and more clock. It's the kind of stuff that's going to make me real excited. Didn't do great in the field position battle against Texas A&M. We'll have to be better. I don't want any of those cheap field goals where somehow they kick the fourth field goal to win and I lose my bet. But I do have Notre Dame here. I do have Northern Illinois under 9.5 points, minus 115.
Yeah, I mean, I like Northern Illinois. I think they're a sleeper pick to win the MAC, but
Yeah.
I mean, on the road in South Bend is crazy to expect them to be able to. I get it.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna bet this, but I would lean the other way from all you guys. I'm on Notre Dame. The only thing that scares me, and it's the reason I'm not gonna bet it, is I don't trust a team that really wants to run the ball to cover this high of a number. Like all they were really doing.
Leonard.
What?
I don't trust Riley Leonard.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think he has to throw the ball very much with how well they were running. I mean, they ran for 5.5 yards a carry, 5.8 yards a carry on the road at Kyle Field. I mean, that was pretty damn impressive. If that's the way they're going to play, which everything tells us that that's how they're going to. They were like top 40 in run frequency last year. So I don't necessarily trust a team that runs like that to cover this high of a number, but I also don't trust Northern Illinois to do anything here. So I'm just going to lead Notre Dame.
Let's go. Let's skip to the next game. Hopefully we got a better on deck. What do we got next?
Oh, yeah.
You cut Scoop off the screen. I've had enough of his. I've had enough of him too.
I watched him in the football. I got scared.
Don't get him started on the Titans defense, bro.
I mean, a guy just doesn't respect secondary. It's crazy. You go to Christian Fulton until the Jarius Sneed and nobody cares. It's crazy.
All right. So, Baylor, Utah. Man, I have no idea. I can tell you with certainty there's no way I bet this game. So I'm Mike, who wants the floor? I'm all ears. There's no way I'm laying 14.5 with Utah. I feel like we haven't seen Cam Rising play a meaningful football game against a Power 5 team since Obama was president. Like it's been years. So I'm not. And not to mention, didn't Baylor look kind of strong?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so I'm at 14.5. I would like to be talked into a Baylor bet, but I got nothing.
I'll start that. Look, Baylor, they looked fine, right? They won 45-3. They played Tarleton State. I said it before they played that game. That'd be a cool game in basketball, but it's a joke in football. Daquan Finn looked fine. Like that's kind of the way I think I described him when we did the preview. He had 2 interceptions against Tarleton, so that's not strong. You're now going to Utah. I'm going to assume the secondary is a little bit better than it is at Tarleton. And obviously Cam Rising looked amazing, but again, they were playing Southern Utah. So like you couldn't take really anything out of both of those games. And this game was close last year, and that was a Utah team who was like mixing and matching on quarterbacks, and I think Baylor had their backup in too. So this was a weird one last year. I expect it to be just as weird because I literally do not know what to think about both of these offenses. Utah barely ran the ball against Southern Utah because they were slinging it across the field. Yeah, I would probably just lean Baylor because it's 2 touchdowns, and that's a pretty big win for Utah if they're to win this by 2 touchdowns. So I'd lean Baylor, but by the time Saturday comes, I doubt I'll still be even considering this.
Either you gentlemen?
I'll go. I'll be short and sweet. There's no way that I'm betting Baylor. It's for me, it's Utah or pass here. Daquan Finn, this is a massive step up in class from last year at Toledo. Then he plays Tarleton State week 1. Threw 2 picks. I mean, he only completed 8 passes, but 2 of those were interceptions, passes to the other team. Against a Utah team who at home are dominant, right? Against the spread, the numbers don't tell you the story, about 500. So you're just like, well, what are we going to do, right? But then we have to remember Utah didn't have Cam Rising last year. They didn't have a real identity. They're trying a lot of different things. I think they have a little bit more of an identity. And as long as Cam Rising's healthy, the dude's been in college for 25 years. I trust them at home more than I do trust Daquan Finn on the road on the Baylor team. Baylor 3-8-1 against the spread last year, by the way.
So this totals up at 53.5. judging by 14.5 point line, does that mean you can get a Baylor team total under 20.5? So how many people that go on the road in Utah and score?
It is 20.5.
There's not many people that score 21 plus on the road in Utah. Daquan Finn too. I mean, if you guys have been watching the show for a couple of years, you know
17.5.
Oh, my math's way off. 26.
I thought it was 20.5 this morning.
Samsonite. I was way off.
It could have been steamed down. I checked it this morning. It was around the 20th.
17.5. I mean, still.
You guys are disrespectful to Daquan Quinn.
Daquan Quinn?
Oh.
Messed up his name.
Finn. Sorry. He was 14 and 22. That wasn't bad. He had those 2 picks, but I mean, Utah's the front runner to win the Big 12, even though the Big 12 is pretty stacked. The Southern Utah game was a blowout. The issue with these week 2 games is nobody ever plays anyone in week 1, so it's hard to gauge how these teams are going to do against any kind of quality opponent. Cam Rising only threw 15 times himself. I mean, all their running backs had about 5 yards per carry. DeJohn Stanley had 150 yards off 3 catches. So he creates separation, but he's not going to create separation off these Baylor corners. I'm sorry. Cam Rising, you could take all that, whatever. Cam Rising, I think, is an overrated piece of shit.
Jesus.
Listen, all 4 corners are back for Baylor, and it's had the same thing as the last year. Around is calling defensive plays this year. 2 interceptions might be a little concerning for Finn, and I know Utah's a tough place to play. I personally don't think Baylor's getting any respect this year. There are people are doing the bottom 4 in their conference, like 12. No, I'd like this more, I think this should be like a 10-point game personally. I think they have a really solid QB in Daquan Finn who can get out of the pocket. He's one of the lowest he's one of the lowest in taking sacks in the whole NCAA. If this Baylor defense can play up to its competition, I like them to cover here for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we're taking shots at Cam Rising, but I kind of I would agree more with what Brad said about Daquan Finn. Like on the road in Utah is something he's never experienced before.
Yeah, you said the same thing with Utah basketball last year. Oh, Utah basketball is so hard to play, and they suck.
It is a tough place to play.
Just wait till Baylor is a live underdog here.
I don't even remember talking about Utah basketball.
Oh, we actually did a lot of Utah basketball for some reason.
I did?
Yeah, we did.
I'm not a college basketball guy, man. Next game.
Baylor money line.
All I remember about March Madness is BYU being their 2 centers, bro. The 2 centers on BYU. Holy shit. That was the most angry I've ever been at my television set in my life.
Yeah, that was tough.
Oh, during the tournament?
Oh, my God.
You were yelling at Ali Khalifa.
The center on BYU, and then they took him out and then put in the backup, and he was worse. All right. Let's go, Brad. We're on opposite sides here. Let's go. Put up his Iowa. Put up his Iowa. He's doubting Coach Campbell.
Loves Coach Campbell.
So full disclosure, I'm a Matt Campbell fan. I think he's a great head coach, and I think that last year, I don't think people realize the adversity, the hand he was dealt entering the season. He lost his quarterback and a starting offensive lineman just weeks before the season because of the gambling thing. So they went into the year with a freshman quarterback that wasn't even supposed to start. By the way, they went 9-4, and Rocco Beck turned out to be pretty good. But I don't. If you're wind a couple years back, I mean, Coach Campbell, he built that Brock Purdy, Breece Hall team from nothing. This program was not in good shape when he got there. Cyclones are a force, and I think people maybe don't really realize what went down last year. They won this game, their last trip to Kinnick. 10-7 was the final score. It was a real heater, and I'm expecting this one to be a real heater as well. To be honest, it's not that like, oh, I'm all in and Iowa sucks and Iowa State should win this game. It's not really like that. I probably would be taking whatever side is catching points here because if you look at the history in these games, they're 10-7. 17, they're low scoring. The total for this game is 35.5, and there's a reason for it. This is Iowa's probably the best defense in the FBS, and I mean, I don't even think you could really argue against that. If you say top 3, you're starting to push too low. I mean, they're one of the best defenses in the FBS. And then Iowa State is also probably going to be a top 10, top 15 defense in the FBS. They were about 25th or so defensively last year, but they got better as the year went along, and they brought back everybody. This Iowa State team is first in the country in returning production. I will take Rocco Becht over Cade McNamara. I'm not a McNamara fan, even though I do admit did look a lot better last week with the new OC against, I mean, what was it, Eastern Illinois or whatever?
Illinois State.
In the second half, maybe.
Yeah, but in the second half, they looked good. I mean, they went way up and down the field like it wasn't shit. So I get it. Everyone's going to be taking Iowa. Oh, actually, we're polling on Iowa State. So people are – oh, he just got the poll up. I kind of am curious where the poll's going to come in. I'm on Iowa State. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard Brad talk about this game yet. I just saw he's messaged his pick in Iowa. So I know we're on opposite sides.
Really exciting to be on opposite sides because I thought I said this on NBC earlier. I was like, Rocco Beck's getting all of the hype. Iowa State's a lot of hype coming around their team, and it's deserved, right? Like it's not just hype that you get falls flat like Virginia Tech. Sorry, Vandy beat Virginia Tech. A lot of hype comes on the team, but I just think this is just going to be such a tough game against an elite defense. Where if I have this as an under game set. And it's going to be in Kinnick, I'm going to have to go Iowa. You want to talk about Iowa State beating them in Kinnick the last time they played? That was the first time that they'd beat them anywhere since 2015, right? They stole that one game, and that was another identity crisis for Iowa where they were kind of struggling. The game could have went any way. I believe it was like 10-7, if I'm mistaken, or something like that. It was like really low scoring where not even 17 points were scored. And even if you look at this from, do I want to trust McNamara? I don't care if I need to trust McNamara at all. I think it's that the Iowa defense is going to do enough, and they're going to have the home crowd at Kinnick where they're not going to lose back-to-back games at Kinnick with an elite defense. They're not going to hold their opponent under 17 points in back-to-back Kinnick games and lose the game. It's me kind of segueing into my other bet. I went under Iowa State's team total under 16.5 points. Just absolutely elite defense from Iowa. This might be like the first time in a very long time where their defense wasn't absolutely ransacked by the NFL draft too, bringing back a ton of production. And we'll go back to it one more time. Playing this game at Kinnick is absolutely massive for me. I went Iowa money line and Iowa State under 16.5 points.
I would push back more on your Iowa bet than your team total under, because it's kind of hard for me to argue against a team total under, honestly. I think Iowa State's defense is a very small step down from Iowa's this year because, I mean, I think that defense is as real as it gets. And so I would push, as far as your team total under, can't argue with it. I think we might
That's
be
my favorite of the two bets, is the team total under, like without a doubt.
Yeah, and I didn't take the money line. I took the plus 2.5 because I think 14-13 is a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Scoop, whose side are you on? You siding with me or Brad?
I'm siding with neither. I'm gonna go under. I think I'm the only person in the world who actually watched a little Iowa Hawkeyes in the first half, and I turned it off immediately when it was 6-0. So, what a treat that was. Caden McNamara looked terrible that first half. He did a little better in the second, but if there's a quarterback that's worse than Cam Rising, it's Caden McNamara. So, I don't like. I mean, back to both these teams are going to be great at defense. I mean, I like you said, Iowa State takes a little step down from Iowa's, but if this line was maybe 3.5, I would side with Iowa State. But both offenses aren't going to do anything this whole game. I like the under here. I think it's going to be like a 17-10 type of game.
Yeah.
I'm with Brad here. It's a home game, so I do. He said that. I love that. And Iowa State didn't look exactly strong on offense against North Dakota. Okay, and I'm not one to guess, but I'm gonna guess they're gonna have a harder time with Iowa's defense. This is obviously one of the best defenses. What?
It was a look ahead spot.
Yeah. Iowa looked really good in their look-ahead spot. Second half of that game, Iowa finally looked like they were playing at least 2000s level of offense. They look like they're a little bit more modern with their offense. Let's hope they keep that up. They don't need to score very much to win this game or even to cover this game. I think their defense is going to be great. Something that concerned me for Iowa State against North Dakota, the time of possession. North Dakota had the ball for 37 minutes, almost 38 minutes. Iowa State had the ball for 22 minutes. So that's very concerning that North Dakota kind of controlled the game. Granted, they couldn't get in the end zone. Had the ball a lot longer. Iowa is very good at controlling the game with their running game. So I am very concerned that Iowa State's going to be stuck in that same position.
And still win 21-3?
Well, they scored 21 points against North Dakota. I'll translate to about 3 against Iowa. They might make a field goal. So I don't think they're going to score very much. And if they're getting outplayed in terms of possession like that, they're going to get crushed in this one. So also another thing, Rocco Beckton, I like him. I think he's very good, but we've seen him have a couple of clunkers on the road, and he has had some good games on the road, but those are usually against bad defenses. This is a spot where he's on the road and he's now facing obviously the best defense in the Big Ten. So I really don't like the spot for him either.
The disrespect for Coach Campbell on this show, man.
I don't like a spot for either team, man. I think this is honestly going to be so friggin' boring. Like, honestly.
It'll be awesome. These games are awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, next up.
This is going to be like that Bills rainy game, like that was like 80-mile-an-hour winds.
That was terrible. All right, Cal, Auburn. Andy likes Auburn here. It's kind of hard.
Me too.
All right, so I put Auburn up for them. I will say, actually, I'll go last because it seems like you guys have a pick, and I just have like a thought that I'd like to share. So you guys are on Auburn.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, another team with a solid 70-point win last week. Peyton Thorne, he already has a quarter of the touchdowns he had last year. I don't think Gorn's great at all. I don't think he's he's an average quarterback. He's a pretty good looking dude, but I think he's very mediocre. Last year, he kind of developed into a dual threat type style. He has a bunch of new players to throw to, so I think that's going to really help his game. It'll help in the long run. The issue is Cal, I don't think is going to be very good at all. I mean, at half, this team was up 1 to the Aggies. Mendoza looked pretty bad. I don't really trust his defensive line or linebackers to stop the run-pass option Auburn has. Assuming Thorne makes the right decisions, Auburn, I think, should be able to pick him apart here. I watched some highlights with the Cal defense, and if the quarterback was just an average quarterback with Hastings, I think UC Davis had the ability to upset Cal. So not only that, but both lines on Cal look overmatched at times to an FCS school, and it's not like a dominant FCS school. So especially Cal running the ball was really atrocious. I would imagine UC Davis is okay in the Big Sky, but the level of competition for Cal is going to be a lot to handle with Auburn. Plus, it's only 13.5. I would grab this before it goes up anymore. I don't know what this started at, to be honest, but I would grab this before it hits 14.
Yeah. Brad, did you want to go? I have something to say, but it doesn't.
I have something to say. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but I will say this. Cam Coleman looked good, right? Good addition for Auburn there, but he could have set the most crazy record. First, we have Jeremiah Smith score 2 touchdowns in his freshman debut. First freshman wide receiver to score 2 touchdowns in a debut since 1996. Then we have Alabama's Ryan Williams to score 2 touchdowns. To make it even crazier, Cam Coleman could not get a second touchdown the entire game. Kind of pissed me off because that would have been a crazy stat to have 3 freshman wide receivers break that little benchmark in the same week in the same season.
That is kind of cool. Yeah. All right, so it's very, very difficult for me to make a case that Cal is going to run the ball on the road in Auburn. In fact, it's just almost a certainty that it's not going to happen. They were struggling to run the ball against UC Davis last week. So on the road in Auburn, yeah, probably not going to be able to run the ball. But let's not forget that this Cal team saw a complete turnaround midway through last season when Mendoza took over at quarterback. And they probably didn't even break any of that out last week against UC Davis. The only reason that I can't put up Cal plus 13.5 for me, I don't have this bet. It would need to cross over 14 into 14.5 for me to even consider it. But the only reason that I'm hesitant is Spavital's gone. The OC is with Baylor now, actually. And the OC that kind of developed Mendoza, he was a freshman. But this Auburn defense, the front seven, I can't argue with it. It's official. They're going to be a really, really strong run defense. But you can poke holes in that secondary, and I think you can throw on this team if you have the quarterback that's capable of making the throws. And Mendoza's got some talent. He showed us. Now, going on the road with no run support and throwing the ball on Auburn, it's a really tough sell. Like I said, I'm going to need more points. But I think there's a path to Mendoza making plays through the air on Auburn. I actually like how Cal kind of struggled a little bit against a bad team, and everyone's like, "Oh, this team sucks!" Like floods over to Auburn, and Auburn won by 70. Like it kind of lines up perfectly for give me a Cal plus 17. I'm not gonna get 17, but you know what I'm saying? Like I think Cal can make plays on the Auburn secondary. That's all I'll say. I'll say that. I don't have a bet on the game or anything. I'm gonna need more points. All right, one last game.
Wow.
Oh wait, I don't know. Brad went. All right.
I didn't have a bet.
I didn't.
No, he went though. He said he didn't have a bet. He shared about Cam Coleman.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to go.
Oh.
So I think I'm going to be on Auburn, and the only reason I haven't bet it yet is because I see the numbers going down. So I think I'm going to wait another day or two on this because I think Cal is going to be relatively popular coming down to the end of the week. I expected that as when I saw this game on the schedule because Auburn has had a couple of these games in recent years where they'll go back when it was the Pac-12. They would play Pac-12 teams and struggle in them, but I don't think they're going to struggle here. Cal, in that game, something hidden. They won 31-13. They got the benefit of 3 interceptions by the UC Davis quarterback. One thing I know about Peyton Thorne, he's done a much better job of not throwing interceptions. That was a problem when he was at Michigan State. It was a problem early last year. Did a better job down the stretch of not throwing interceptions. So I don't think they're going to get the benefit of that. I do think Auburn's going to be able to run the ball and throw the ball on them. They're not a very strong defense. And like Kyle said, it's very difficult to go into Jordan-Hare and run the football, and that's kind of what they need to do. So I think this is a mismatch. There's a big talent gap. I don't think they're going to get as fortunate as they got against UC Davis, and they still escaped that one. They were up 1 at halftime. So I mean, I think all those things mixed together, I really like Auburn here, and I think the number could go down.
You're overreacted. We were big on this Cal team a week ago. One game doesn't change.
I'm not big on them against Auburn. Never was.
Mm-hmm. Next.
Never was.
Never was.
All right, last up, South Carolina. I wish I bet that, man. I was talking about Old Dominion plus 21. I brought it up on the show. I was like, guys, I like this. I like the matchup. Didn't bet it. Made $0 with it, but hopefully some of you guys did. So, yeah, South Carolina looked anything but impressive. That being said, plus 10. I'm not even big on this Kentucky team, so it's tough. I got nothing for this one. Andy, SEC, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm big on Kentucky here. South Carolina looked god-awful the other day, and that's really all you have to take from this team because they didn't return very much. Obviously, Spencer Rattler's gone. The Norris Seller looked very overmatched, and that was against Old Dominion. Now he's going on the road facing a Stoops defense who's really, really good. Pass rush is usually really good. Overall, the defense at Kentucky's been good the last few years, and they're returning a decent amount much, plus he recruits well, so I think that's a bad matchup. Plus, Kentucky, Brock Vandegrift, granted, they only played 3 quarters in that game. He looked really good and really strong in that game. And this South Carolina defense is not very good. They weren't good last year. They didn't necessarily add a lot. They do have a pass rusher that looked really good the other day. I don't remember his name. But he's going to be a good transfer portal pickup for somebody at the end of the year. But yeah, this is just a complete mismatch again. On the road, tough to play at Kentucky. He's done a good job building that home field advantage. And I didn't see a single facet of the game that I liked from South Carolina in that first game. So,
Brad?
I don't know. I'm pass on this. South Carolina only returning 53% of offensive production, and it showed, right? That translated to game 1, to week 1. Work in progress for this team here. I think defensively they'll still be okay. I'm gonna pass. I don't have a side. Don't even have a lean on this.
Yeah, my thought in last week was I like Old Dominion's run defense this year. They'll be a bad team, but they can stop the run. Yeah. They brought back a lot of production in their run defense. So my thought was this kid Sellers, I don't trust him to throw the ball and cover any sort of number throwing the ball. So in my opinion, if you don't let Rocket Sanders and the South Carolina run game get going, anyone can beat this team, honestly, if you don't get beat by the run, in my opinion. So, Scoop?
Yeah, listen, I'm a big Cox fan, but I don't know if anyone watched that Old Dominion game. Lenore Sellers looked absolutely awful. So I know he's a freshman, but how bad is Robbie Ashford from Auburn that he can't get snaps over Sellers?
To be fair, I saw Robbie Ashford play a little bit last year, and it wasn't the best. I'll say that.
No, but if that's what Sellers looks like, basically a running back, he almost ran more than he threw. He had one more passing attempt and rushing attempt. He threw for 5 yards an attempt. rushed for 3 yards a carry. And yeah, the only reason they won that game is because Old Dominion fumbled twice inside their own 10. But even without him, they had a bunch of penalties. Their blocking looked terrible. This looks like the same offensive line problems that they had last year. I'm actually pretty big on Kentucky too. Kentucky won last week and really only played their first half because the whole second half got canceled because of lightning. But Vandegrift looked great. He looked like the real deal. They're a lot quicker than last year in terms of running the offense. Their running backs all look great. I know this line went from 6 to 10 now, but I think Kentucky really should have an easy game here just because South Carolina is just not good. Cox down.
Cox down. All right. I mean, I don't know if I'm trying to lay 10 with Kentucky, but I do understand what you're saying. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you guys, Mr. Brad Thomas, his Twitter's right there on the screen. He's tagged in the tweet. Make sure you guys give him a follow, Brad. Really appreciate you coming on, man. See you guys soon. Be back tomorrow, same time.